Who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day two of the grand finals of the Rise of Legion presented by Lenovo and Intel. As we are back, it's a brand new day, and the teams, they have to be refreshed because honestly, after what happened in day number one, these guys, they're on absolute fire. 5 intense games yesterday and five brand new champions, sorry, every single time. Not even a single team were able to win out consistently every single time and get 2 points on the board for themselves when it comes down to the terms of wins. Everyone was able to win out, and it is a story of the underdogs. The team that finished in the fifth and sixth positions, respectively, for a lot of their own qualifiers, they're the ones to actually take it all away and bring down a lot of the top caliber teams. But at the same time, one team rose above the rest. It has to be the side of Team Phoenix. And honestly, their name says it all. They rise from the ashes and they come up to the top. They have a lot of points to work with. And I still remember it has to be the magic number of 69. Otherwise, I probably would have forgotten it.
Oh man, the numbers. Let's take a look at the numbers, speaking of them, and then we'll see which team stands where. Like you said, Team Phoenix,
Yeah.
number one spot with the magic number. But then there's other teams who have a great potential of catching up to them, but they're like 20 points behind them. Clutch Ministers and Popping Off, both of them were the number one teams, or if not the number one, like the best teams in their qualifiers. They're both sitting at 49 points, and they're 20 points behind Phoenix. Behind them is Stark Incarnate at 45. And then, surprisingly, there's a massive gap of 10 points between Stark Incarnate and X Omen. From that point onward, almost every other team is more or less on the same path on and in the same place, like 35, 35, 33, 30, whatnot. So the number one team is in a league of their own, followed by three teams who are close to each other, followed by all the other teams who are basically just struggling to be relevant in the tournament.
Yeah, relevancy will be a pretty rough position for the guys on the 10th to 18th spot because they're just not able to make that cut and break themselves into that 20-point margin. But you never know. Today could be the day they actually make things happen. And today could just be the day where they're going to be able to take down these top dogs and get a win for themselves and shoot themselves up when it comes down to the terms of standings and dethrone the kings of Team Phoenix. Because you never know. Yesterday was a roller coaster of emotions. There was a lot of ups, there was a lot of downs, and there's a lot of highs as well. Because we kind of tried to predict which teams were going to be winning everything out, and it was not even close to our predictions. The team just came out of absolutely nowhere, being able to shock us in a matter of seconds and take down the teams such as Team Popping Off, 1 HP, Unit X, the teams that we really just expected to be the ones to bring it all back and be the ones to win everything out. It was an absolutely incredible show. And the Washed Apex bots, man, we got to talk about these guys because these players have gone far and beyond our expectations. Like, did you even think that they're going to be able to take down these big dogs and actually get consistent second place positions every single time?
Well, I did expect good things from Washed Apex bots, but yeah, I thought that they would kind of be struggling and then they would only show up during the later stages of the tournament. The fact that they are in the top six on the first day itself kind of makes me feel a little good about them.
Yep.
They were the kind of team that only popped off in the last few games of their qualifier, and they had a Hail Mary run to the top later on. But right now, they're starting to put up points on the board, which will make their climb easier later on in the tournament.
Yeah, time is where it all really does matter. How fast can you get up there? How efficiently can you make all of this work? But at the same time, I believe that today, with it being a brand new day, it really does depend on how we're going to be seeing the teams perform in match number one. Because some teams are going to be having a good day, some teams are having a bad day. Team Phoenix could not be able to show their consistency from the very start. Clutch Ministers could not be the ones to clutch everything out here. And a lot of these low level teams, like the ones who are at the very bottom of the barrel, it could just be the ones to bring everything back on their own accord. Because you need to remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is an entire marathon pretty much. starting from day one all the way up to day three. These teams then need to be fighting through thick and thin to try and keep their positions relevant, because one small misstep, one small mess up right at the very beginning stages of a map, and you're out. There's no way to gain those points back. There is no way to keep yourself relevant, because when there are only 20 points separating you from number one to number two, and only 30 points separating you from number one to number six, it's not really a big margin. You're easily going to get dethroned if you are not careful right at the get-go and you don't pace yourself properly if you're at the number one position. But if you're at the number two, number three, and number four, it's all about consistency. The more consistent you are in comparison to your opposition, the better you're going to be able to perform. And slowly but surely, you're going to inch your way up to that number one. You don't need to rush things, not just yet, because it's still day number two. Day number three is there for any sort of the rushes you want to do, or if you want to play it slow and just hold onto your position and you don't want to shoot any higher. The teams need to understand this ideology, because here in the grand finals, the main thing that you want is that number one or that number two or number three, according to what you are striving for. If you strive for a little bit too much, you know for a fact that you could just bite the bullet as well and get a little bit too obese. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be heading on down over into the game after a short word from our sponsors.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rise of Legion, presented by Lenovo and Intel on the Apex Legends tournament. As we are back, it's going to be a brand new day. It's going to be a fresh new start as we head on down over to World's Edge one more time to see exactly how these teams are going to be faring for day number 2 of the grand finals right here and right now. And when you consider the spread of the circle and where the teams are actually heading, it's quite an interesting pickup to say the very least, because Lawnside has been completely taken over, but the teams, they're spreading themselves out quite wide. They're not really going in for much more of those close range engagements, and I believe that they actually did their homework from yesterday, and they're the ones who are actually spreading themselves according to what the other opposition teams like to go towards. They don't want to go in for those early game fights, and I believe that that's actually a good thing, but also a bad thing at the same time.
This could be just an intuitive statement, but don't you think that the southern part of the map is a lot more populated than the northern parts? I kind of feel like a lot of these teams went towards the Dome, Lava City, and Lawnside, but
Better loot?
I don't even know. I mean, there's not objectively better loot over here. I mean, I think all the places have like decent enough loot, except for maybe Landslide. That place is absolutely trash. but then, come on, Skyhook, Countdown, Staging. In fact, Staging, Lawnside, and Countdown look exactly the same to a layman. Even I get confused between which area is what. I need to take like a closer look, and then I figure out, okay, which area is Countdown, which area is Lawnside. So they literally look the same. The loot is similar. I don't know why they have chosen to go a little more towards the southern parts of the map. Maybe in this one, it's probably because they learned something from yesterday. But then, hey, if that's the case, there's going to be quite a lot of interesting storylines, because then these teams will be having all these different loot locations from the previous days, and they will be adjusting and, you know, reacting to whatever happened in the previous matches. That definitely will call for some exciting storylines.
But at the same time here, Crips, you need to consider something. The rotations are going to be quite difficult here, just as you stated, with the spread being a little bit more thicker when you consider down towards the southern side. These teams trying to rotate, they're going to get caught by multiple. And there are two different storylines that we can consider here. either more than half of the squads die in a matter of 5 seconds when the first circle comes in, or we could just be in for a long haul with over 14 squads just waiting it out until the very last circle.
Oh
Because
man.
there's no in between here. Considering
Yeah.
the position of the circle, I have no idea what the teams are planning to do. And popping
Exactly.
off, sadly, they only have 2 players. I believe that one of them were not able to make
Breeze.
it. Yeah, Breeze were
Northern
just
Breeze. I don't know where he is, but he's definitely not here. But yeah,
yeah.
whatever you said about either there being 14 teams in the end circle or everyone dying right at the start, I don't like the thought of either of that. And popping off are showing us some
That's
really,
true.
really creative locations. This is really good for hiding, you know? I mean, they're very close to the edge of the circle, so they can get inside. I mean, they have decent enough loot to start off. Blue shields, basic weaponry.
They're just
So now
chilling.
they can just chill. Yeah, they can just stay here. They can just chill. This is like very close to Dome, and I doubt anybody's gonna find them over here.
Yeah, they're just gonna play it slow. They're just gonna play it smart because they don't have their one of their players. So I don't expect them to take any forward risk whatsoever.
Okay. Battle of patience over here.
Mm.
They can literally just keep themselves over here.
They're telling a
Get off their
campfire
PCs.
story.
Yeah,
Getting up
maybe a
there,
campfire story. Put some
getting
marshmallows
some
around
s'mores.
it.
Yes.
Oh yes, s'more sounds so much more better. Wait, what's your favorite kind of s'more? I mean, I like the one in between a bunch of biscuits, marshmallow in between, impale them with a stick,
Hmm.
and then roast them.
I don't know about the biscuits included, but I like marshmallows in general. That I absolutely do.
Mm.
Last time I went on a camping trip was with my friends, and it was actually an interesting trip. Basically, we thought that we saw a ghost the entire night,
Oh.
and then we found out that it was actually the campground's keeper who was just walking around the place trying to find the bathroom. And we were like, what the hell just
I
literally,
mean,
we literally made a run for it. Basically, one of my friends was literally around the campfire. He got up, he was trying to find the bathroom, and then he saw a guy. He did a complete 180, like a tap strafe 180, and then he just walked towards us, and we were like, what?
well, I mean, at least that whoever that man you saw, at least that man wasn't looking to harm you. There will be other people that they see over here, and they are always having hostile intentions.
Yeah, that is the game of Apex, ladies and gentlemen. And the persons who are actually doing much more of the damage here is actually going to be the side of Clutch Ministers, because watch Apex Balls and Clutch Ministers. This is going to be a fight for the century if they actually want to go for it. But I don't think that Watch Apex Balls are going to take that risk, because Clutch Ministers, they have the better position here.
Yeah, and they're both, you know, inside the dome. And now they're forced out to Gippy Domes as well. We saw this battle yesterday. Team Hardstuck was literally stuck in between
Oh,
them
no.
and somehow managed to get alive yesterday. But this time, minus Hardstuck, we have both these teams facing off against each other. Same place, same location. Yeah, but the only difference is none of these teams was trying to fall back yesterday. They were both just very keen on getting control of this area. At this point, these guys have the option of getting away.
Yeah, it's just about chilling. And I kind of like this. Watch Ministers, they're going to be able to hold on to their position. They have them inside of the circle, but at the same time, Team Bot, they're going in for their own fight. Begum and Gang, they get taken out with a beautiful crispy shot coming on down through the 150 rupees mouse. But honestly speaking, you cannot have a 150 rupees mouse if your aim is that cracked. Like, man, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, the way he was hitting his shots with the wingman, that was great. He was able to destroy Team Bird EXT. But now we've got Unit X going up against Hardstock. And these guys have a decent enough spread out for now. I mean, it was a 2 versus 2 up until now, but that will very soon change. And that's gonna be it. Suraj Paradise killing the last Gibraltar. That's a Gibraltar diff right there. Uh-oh, he got to hurry.
Oh, no.
Stock and Connor is over here. And someone else is shooting Stock and Connor. So there's like fourth party situation going on over here.
Yeah, the fourth parties, the fifth parties, of the sixth parties, of the seventh parties are going to be coming on down through it. Stark Incarnate, they cannot get too complacent here. They're going to die in a matter of seconds. They're not careful, but Rahman is pretty much on his lonesome. He could just get caught out. It's one of the players, but he's just going to be able to survive. Going for those first initial kills, go in for that finish as well. He's going to be able to take down one squad at the bare minimum on towards the back end. It's just about Phenom duty right now, one by one. They're going to be able to shut everyone down. Phenom also gets killed out as well. And the squad that was shooting the side of Scarlet Incarnate, they're the ones actually making a run for it now because the circle is going to be coming on down through. But at the same time, Like, they don't really have to worry about much. It's the first initial circle,
Yeah.
and hey, it's just tickling them. It's just showing that, hey, I love you, but at the same time, I hate you in the process.
Yeah, that's a very awkward relationship to be in. Unfortunately, all these relationships kind of are reminiscent given the whole third party, fourth party situation. Usually when the relationships get ruined, it is because of a third party and, real life simulates Apex over here. Either way, enough
That's a
about the
little bit
relation.
morbid. That's a little bit morbid, and a lot of
I
relationships
realized I was being a bit too dark over there, so I just decided to like stop it, keep it PG-13. But yeah, Team Sights over here, they're stuck inside the geyser area, and they're fighting Team 1 HP. Sides have already lost their player Chicken Flip, and they don't even have decent enough shields to fight them. Here comes the assault from 1 HP from the skies. They're gonna jump down with the jump pads, and they've got their Xeon guy who's covering fire from behind. He's shooting ahead with the longbow. Meanwhile, the other players, they decide to move inside. But hold on. 3 punches are here. I mean, there's a 3 in their name, and they come into third party. 1 HP. This is the perfect situation for them to be in, and because they have 2 players spread out very far from each other, they can set up a crossfire of sorts that can take care of both these teams that are trying to come into a disguised area.
Yeah, Chris, he's gonna go in for a couple of his own crispy shots on towards the back end. He's trying to go in for this fight, but this is better. He needs to be very careful because fighting inside of the zone is just so dangerous. You're not gonna be even aware of how fast your HP is gonna get whittled down, and then the zone just suddenly takes you out of absolutely nowhere. But down towards the back end, it's gonna be Frenzy getting the first initial kill down on Hoppy. And yeah, there's not much that the last guy can do. Just run on away, maybe try and live to survive for a little while longer, but PHG destroyed. Gets killed out, and it's gonna be the side of 1 HP. Being able to get not 1, but 2 squad wipes for themselves, but at the same time, Aviator Esports, they get another one. And remember what I said here, Crips? It's all about that first initial rotation, because as soon as the rotations come on down through, it's already done and dusted. Everyone's gonna die out, and we already have 11 squads in how long? Yeah, we're gonna drop another squad as well because Aviator just probably found another one. And either they die here or they win.
Yeah, I mean, while we were witnessing that battle in Geyser between 1 HP, we saw Aviator Esports over here wipe the floor with Omen. And yeah, Omen were doing pretty well for themselves yesterday. Aviator, not so much. With some of the stronger teams out of the tournament now, I think Aviator Esports, they're going to be pretty happy with whatever they've done so far. The few squads that they scanned on the other side of that railway tunnel have also fallen back, so it seems like Aviator Esports are kind of in the clear for now.
Ooh. Moth versus... Oh, what is happening? There's one team above, one team across. Oh no, Aviator Esports, they're in the worst possible position, but I think that the side of Stark Incarnate, they know they need to dip, because right on the other side is going to be the side of Team Moth, and it's better to cut their losses and just run away. They can get into a better circle position at the bare minimum and just, survive for the placement points at the bare minimum. Because they need these placement points. There's no way to go around that.
Just shutting the door in his teammate's face.
Door stuck!
The door is stuck, son. Well, that kind of friendly trolling is okay, unless it actually happens in the middle of a fight and you leave your teammate out. That would be really bad. But hey, Stark and Connor, they decide to fall back. They move towards the tree. And right now, they are kind of safe over here. Unless Team Phoenix decides to engage with them.
They have spotted them out and they know exactly where they are. The engagement could be coming around in a matter of seconds. They spotted a couple of players who are holding it down from the side of Extractor, but the guys are in a pretty good position to say the very least. Maybe they're going to be able to find something, but Team Phoenix, they're right across. And if they try to make a move right here and right now, it's not going to be looking good for them.
Stark and Connor, Phoenix, positioned right next to each other near the tree. Team Phoenix is shooting at someone else in the distance. We don't know who that is yet, but honestly, I think that team is not relevant just yet. They should be able to get away. But now Stark and Connor is trying to push closer to them. Let's see how they decide to initiate over here, if they decide to initiate at all. Oh, positions given away, shots exchanged. Now the battle will begin.
Shots are going to be clean coming on down from the side of Stark Incarnate. And Stark Incarnate versus the side of Team Phoenix. This is what I'm really excited to see. Let's see how they actually go up on this side, but at the same time, I don't think they want to fight as well. They just want to chill. They just want to run away! Imagine if that hit from the side of Murdoch. Absolutely disgusting, man. Get him out of the server if he did that.
Murdoch with the big guns. big man
He's
KB
a-
with the big guns. This man should be able to get an easy knock onto one of his enemies and then enable his team to push right away. But is this the right time to push? I mean, there are other teams who are just starting
Yeah.
to come closer to you. If you decide to pick up a fight right now, the chances of you getting third-partied are high enough, but they will be higher once the ring gets closer. So, yeah, you gotta choose between the lesser of evils. You either risk getting third-partied now or risk getting fourth, fifth-partied later.
Yeah, it's all about that ideology. You need to take those choices and you need to take those chances to either play for the circle and just wait until a little bit of the competition has thinned out already. Because when there are 10 squads with such a tiny circle, you really don't want to take a lot of those chances. And that's why in professional level Apex, a lot of the teams, they're waiting it out until the very last second when the real fights are about to start. As soon as that first initial engagement happens, then and only then you should be going in for that fight. But Sark and Carded, though, they're the ones who try to push down into another squad's position. And now they're on the receiving end of a lot of pain. Vincent from the left, Vincent from the right, the side of Sark and Carded. They need to give, and they need to give this up down towards their opposition because there's another team right behind them. They cannot even survive for long. The side of Team 1 HP, they're hunted for blood. And one by one, they're going to be able to drop the side of Sark and Carded like flies. And now they need to finish this fight really quickly, though. Consider something here, Pips. There's another squad right on the other side, and if they want to go in for this squad, it's already done and dusted for the side of 1 HP.
Stark and Gunner was about to fight against Team Wasabi, but they thought that it's better to avoid the spices. Unfortunately, 1 HP has something sweeter for them, the sweet kiss of death. And at this point, with Stark and Connor out of the way, 1 HP and Wasabi might just start fighting each other for the control of launch site.
This fight will be so crucial if they actually are able to take launch side for themselves. Then they're in a really good spot because that's the number one building that you really want to have control over if you really want to cut off any of these rotations. But 1 HP, they're making their way towards the side of launch side on a long route.
Yeah, I'm trying
And
to go
it's
around
very
this
open.
place.
And it's very open. I don't know how much I like this here.
I think it's actually not that bad because it was open towards the southern edge of the map and nobody really takes that route. Considering that most of the teams will be coming in from the northern side, I think that rotation path might just have been very safe. And they were also chasing one of the teams that just took a jump tower into the western building of launch site. So yeah, this area, it has like 4 different buildings which teams can take cover inside. So you've got Wasabi in one of the buildings, Washed Apex bots on the other side, popping off underneath everyone, and then there's, there's Team 1 HP just on the outskirts of launch site, keeping an eye on everyone else.
Yep. Now, instead of popping off, they're just still chilling. They're eating them s'mores.
They
they're
have
like,
wiped
hey.
out one squad. Popping off have like 3 kills, so it's not like they've been just camping. They've had their fair share of
No,
fights,
they're just
but
hunting.
we don't know.
They're hunting as well. Like, when you go on a camping trip, you go in for a couple of hunts as well. You place a couple of traps here and there if you want to catch a rabbit from time to time, and have a little bit of a meal with your son. And now the
Yeah.
real question is who's the son and who's dad? The startup guy or is it Grudge? Who's older? I don't really know.
I don't know about their ages as well. I don't even know their real names outside this thing.
I think Grudge is just Grudge.
Yeah, I mean, Prajwal or something like that. I mean, Indian names are kind of easy to predict considering considering his nickname like this. But yeah, but
Oh no.
that's the thing over here. If you run into Team Phoenix, that will be really, really bad. And Team Phoenix are not even like in between the buildings or whatnot. These guys are just in between 2 canyons. They're outside the launch site area, just a little towards the west of it. And this corridor is probably one of the only entrances into the circle. If you guard this area, you will be able to gatekeep a lot of teams and kind of force them to take the longer route around. And if you take the longer route around, you will be forcing those teams to run into either Team Wasabi or into Team Washed Apex bots. Maybe even Team 1 HP, considering that 1 HP was... no, wait, they can't run into 1 HP. 1 HP was towards the south.
Yeah, they're on the other side pretty much.
Yeah.
And now that's the thing that I was trying to say here. Gatekeeping one side, but then they're gonna get gatekeeped as well by the side of Wasabi. Oh, the tracking on the side of Dude. Look at this
Wow.
guy! 99 tracking at that range! Beautiful sprint control, ladies and gentlemen. Take a bow because with an almighty right at that range, this guy is on fire. And now all of them are going to be on fire because here comes the zone, ladies and gentlemen. And this is going to be the place where the push is really going to hurt a lot. And now, yeah, it's pretty much done and dusted. It's actually going to be the side of Clutch Ministers being able to take down the side of Team Phoenix. And with that, now they need to make that choice because either they get pushed by the side of Wasabi and then cope at the door, man, Scorpion. You're not supposed to get out stuck like that. But it's completely fine with that. The push coming on down through from the side of Team Wasabi. Are they going to be going in for the full-on push? Do they want the building control in their favor? Because they have now gone really far. They've given up their last position, so going up against the side of Clutch Minister right here, right now, is just so crucial. They need to take that chance. They need to go in for this push because their position is just so horrible right now.
Clutch Ministers have got them pinned down. There's barely any space left for their opponents to work with. They're just using the Gibby Dome as cover for now, but once this dome is offline, they will have no place left to run, no place left to hide, and John FPS, he's going to be able to destroy Newt. Aviator Esports also taking a bunch of damage. Everyone's been forced to jump downstairs. No way you would have been able to stay up there with absolutely no cover. And at this point, these guys are trapped in between a rock and a hard place. Look at them. Their teams are spread out right now. Flexi and Scorpion still trying to gatekeep Sneeze, but unfortunately Sneeze's teammates are already downstairs. Washed Apex bots probably have one of the better positions right now, but it's not the best because they also need to move into the ring, and the ring is about to close in 15 seconds. I want to see which one of these teams controls the building that's still in the center. It's definitely not Washed Apex bots, definitely not Wasabi, and least of all is gonna be Team 1HP. Popping off also on the other side, but at least they're able to steal a couple of kills. 1HP Crips got taken down, and now we're down to the last 3 squads. Popping off, and both Clutch Ministers are outside the zone. They need to make their way inside, but I think Clutch Ministers will be able to get inside a lot quicker than the others. In fact, they are already inside. They've got the better position now.
Yeah, they just need to chill, and they just need to wait. The more they wait, the better their positions are going to be, the better their fights are going to be here in general. So they need to make the choice here, because here it's a 3 versus 1 situation, with only Trush being the one alive from the side of Team Popping off. And if he wins this, it's gonna be an incredible tale to tell here, ladies and gentlemen. But at the same time, I don't think it's gonna happen. Not just yet. A couple of pop shots being taken, and Proj, he's hurting. He's hurting massively. He needs to try and run away. He needs to try and survive, but I don't think that Switchy's gonna be giving much away to him. Not just yet. He's gonna make him work for it. Gets cracked, and he's just skirting around like a little cockroach, running around, trying to survive this. And Switchy's like, just give up and die already. I really didn't want to say it, but hey, I have to make that meme reference. But that's kind of the situation for Proj.
Yeah.
But right on the other side, I think that Wasabi, they're the ones to win everything out here because they have the best position that you can think of. So not Wasabi, I think that's...
At one point, Washed Apex bots had the best position, but while these guys, Washed Apex bots, were just busy fighting Proj, Wasabi took that distraction as an advantage, and they managed to close the gap in between these two. So now both of these teams have a decent enough position, and Proj is far away from the action. He's underneath all of them. He's just waiting for this storm to blow over. And unfortunately, I don't think the storm is going to blow over anytime soon. In fact, it's just starting to pick up. Washed Apex bots and Wasabi, not even Wasabi, Washed Apex bots and Clutch Ministers, they're kind of in a standoff right now. Even a stare-off, if you might want to say, because you can see each other through the glass building, but you can't shoot at each other. So now you just got to be patient. You gotta see which one of these teams swings wide first. Squeeze the door open, you know, start with a little bit of grenades. While all of this is happening, we have... Oh my, no, Metro Legion, you can't afford to do that. Metro Legion decided to push Proj all by himself, and Clutch Ministers take this as their cue to push in. They can see that one knock come through, and this is their time. But the moment Clutch Minister decide that they have an advantage, they want to go ahead, they end up losing Scorpion. So now it's a 2 versus 1 versus 2. Proj is still available, and he's just picking up kills while all of this is happening, and now both these teams are deciding to engage with each other full on. No falling back right now. This is the full commitment. It's just gonna be Clutch Ministers versus Washed Apex bots, and let's see which one of these teams comes out on top. And somehow Proj has been found in all of this.
In this situation, if Proj pushes, they win. He just wins this outright. He needs to go in for this push. I wonder where he is as of right now, because it is going to be another kill coming on down from the side of Clutch Ministers, and Proj was already dead, apparently. We didn't even know. I thought he was still alive at the very end of it all. But instead, it's going to be the side of Clutch Ministers being able to clutch everything out, with Sneeze being the one to go in for the last kill. And I do believe that as soon as he got knocked out, like as soon as he knocked out the first initial player, he just got traded out immediately. That's kind of a little bit of a sad story. Clutch could have been the rising star for this entire thing, but at the very end, hey, Clutch Ministers, they're going to live up to their names and they're going to be able to clutch out the round. Let Sneeze be the actual Clutch Minister coming on down through from their side. Very
Yeah.
beautifully done here, Clips.
Exactly. And the moment I think it was Metro Legion from Washed Apex Spots who decided to fight Prudge, and the moment he was downed, his teammate was forced to just move ahead and trade with him. Otherwise, Metro Legion's knock would have gone in waste. So at least he was able to confirm the kill onto Prudge. But when that happened, and when Clutch Minister saw all of that happen in the kill feed, they realized that's it. That's the opportunity that we were looking for. That's our cue. Move in, boys. Autobots, roll out.
Yeah, that is for sure. Because that first initial knock is where the real chaos will start to begin. Because then immediately the team who are on the receiving end of a lot of that damage are going to be like, oh no, we lost one of our players, and the player that we did lose was the Octane. And now without the Octane, we are not going to be able to go in for those pincer strats anymore that we were thinking about previously. And right at the very end, yes, it was a really close showing. A lot of the people from the side of Team Washed Apex Bots were able to consistently win out on a lot of their 1v1s, but they were just not able to finish out their opposition. And right at the very end, Sneeze able to get themselves out of that sticky situation, had the gold shield in his favor, so just popped 2 batteries, popped a couple of syringes, and he was back up to full HP in a matter of seconds. And that, I do believe, was one of the primary reasons why the side of Team Clutch Ministers were able to clutch everything out. They had the better weaponry, they had the better position, and they knew exactly when to go in for that push, allowing them to easily take that engagement and then go in for that play. And I do believe that right at the very end, the Bloodhound coming on down from the side of Wash Apex Waltz, he was like, what do I do here exactly? That guy's literally holding behind the box. He has a Gibraltar who's staring at me, who's feeding all the information in the dire world of when I'm pushing, and I have no idea if he's actually there or if he's actually somewhere else just chilling. So right at the very end, very good team play and coordination. That's why in Apex, even the people who are dead can be the biggest asset for you.
Yeah, really well put over there. But this was a rather manageable game, don't you think?
Yep.
We expected it to be either 14 teams alive at the end or everyone dying right at the start. And
I think
everyone
everyone
did
did die.
die. But then it was pretty evenly spread out. It's not like
Mhm.
5 teams fall at once, right?
Yeah.
There is a certain hierarchy, there is a certain leveling system to it. Every time a team falls, someone else becomes significantly stronger, and then they get control of an area, which forces the other teams to maneuver. And because those teams are in control of those certain areas, everyone's targeting them, or they're just building a fort. And when one key position is liberated, a lot of other teams then, scramble to take control of that area. And that's how the fights were like mostly evenly spread out. So I think this was actually a pretty nicely paced game. Let's take a look at
Mhm.
the highlights. And I'm going to be honest, this was one of the more easy to follow games, but the highlights just make it better because you get to see all the juicy frags. And we saw some really cool R99 tracking. We got to see some nice wingman flick shots. Of course, we got to see some people trying to tap strafe as well. Has it been removed yet, or is that going to be in a future update?
Yeah, the future update. Not just yet. It's soon gonna be out of here, but at the same time, it's gonna terrorize people for just a little while longer. But at the same time, it's gonna be completely fine and dandy. But when you consider this very start of the game, I believe that I was really surprised. It felt like a lot of the teams that were supposed to survive, the ones that were supposed to be the ones to try and go in for the kills, try and go in for the plays, and just be the ones to take it all away, they were just nowhere to be seen. Popping off, yes, they had a really rough start because they didn't have one of their players. They couldn't go in for their signature strategies, especially without Northern Breeze, because Northern Breeze is one of the literal backbones for the entire roster, and not having
Yeah.
the backbone itself, yeah, you're not going to be winning out on a lot of your different engagements like that. So it really did hurt him down in the long run, but it's completely fine and dandy being able to go in for a third place finish, especially when you have actually killed out like 2 squads, I believe. They collectively had about like 5 kills. That's actually admirable when you consider the situation that they were in.
Yeah, considering that they barely had any members in their team, them getting all these kills and getting to the third place is a great deal. This is stuff that full member teams struggle to do, even when they have the advantage. But you gotta consider what the situation these guys were in. They were basically cornered trapped like a bunch of rats. They had to hide underneath the floorboards. That's the situation that these guys were in. But while we speak about the other teams, there were several fights that went on towards the geyser area, and a lot of those teams who were, fighting out in the geyser area, they came in from the northeast part of the launch site, which basically forces them to take the zip lines up to the top of this area. And that's when all the third parties started to come in. We saw Stark Incarnate getting pinched in between Wasabi and 1 HP. But then Wasabi was busy keeping someone
Oh, look
else.
at this
And
tracking,
this
dude.
clean R99 spray. This is the one that made both of us mauled.
Yeah. This is the one that actually made us fall like crazy, because if you get sprayed like that by an R99, you're probably gonna get reported at the end of the game.
Exactly. At that range too.
Yeah, like this guy, dude is just absolutely cracked out of his mind. He has the incredible aim, but the positioning coming down from his roster, it was just not that strong. And right at the very end, Clutch Ministers, they knew which building they needed to hold. And once again, Wasabi, they stagnated. Remember what I was saying, Wasabi, they need to go in for the push immediately against the side of Clutch Ministers, use that Gibby Shield aggressively, and just get a much more forward position, because if they were the ones to go in for a push, take that risk, and take out Clutch Ministers, they would have been the ones to win out the round instead, because Clutch Ministers, they had the best position in the entire game. They didn't have to move a single inch, and it was actually Prudge that gave them the chance to go in for this kill. Like, if Prudge didn't actually take down Legion, you know for a fact that the side of Watch Apex Squads, they had the best possible chance to win everything here.
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't even Steven's fight up until now, but that gave them the advantage. And Clutch Ministers were like, thank you so much, sir. We will never forget the service you've done for us. And they give Prudge a little gift hamper, a little token of their appreciation. Maybe they'll pay him back later on, but for now, Clutch Ministers will be very happy with this dub.
Yep, with these skills and with these plays, they're going to be able to survive. They're going to be able to do a lot here. And right up till the very end, hey, they performed admirably, and they were able to do it all onto their side. The side of Clutch Ministers, they deserve this win. And hey, Sneeze, you can take a bow, my man, because this is the guy to clutch it all out and bring it all back for their side.
Yeah.
This is how you need to do it as well, especially when you're stuck in these 1 versus X situations. You cannot get a little bit, like, you cannot let the nerves get to you. You need to play it slow. You need to play it systematically, because you need to remember something. Your teammates are not completely dead yet. They're like those little drones, like the crypto drones that he throws out from time to time. It gets a little bit of information. It pings the enemies and shows exactly where they are from time to time. And then you hear screaming, he's coming left, he's coming right. Boy, he's pushing. Why you not swinging the corner, my man? But yeah, those are the type of calls that are normally going to be coming out. It keeps you on the edge, but gives you that little bit of security, to say the very least, that you're not alone in this situation. You still have the extra eyes that will watch for things that you cannot see. And in this situation, see, just had that.
Yeah, and this was the situation for both of them, right? Like, it boiled down to a 1v1, and Sneeze had to, like, let go of his gold shield, and he picked up a normal white shield just lying there on the ground, simply because he did not have time to heal up. And I guess that's what it boiled down to in the end. And both the teams with their knockdown players, they're feeding information. So everyone knows where everyone is. The dead teammates of both the teams are feeding information to their bastions alive, hoping that they will be able to carry that flame forward. But now that 1v1 came down to the wire, and at the end of the day, it was Clutch Ministers that they were able to win this. And they're named appropriately, right? The 1v1 Clutch, they don't lose those.
Yeah, these guys, they just know what to expect. They just know what to do, and they're not going to be stopping for even a second here. But at the same time, when you consider what exactly we can expect from map number 2 for day 2 here, Crips, I don't really know, because right at the very beginning, we were talking about the fact that, hey, it's either going to be 14 squads right at the very end if they're able to make a very safe rotation out of the south side, or it's going to be an absolute chaos on towards the south end, and the fights are going to be happening with the snap of a finger right here and right now. And that's kind of what happened. We snap a finger, a team is dead. We snap another finger, another team is dead. And we snap our fingers twice, and more than 4 squads are dead. That's kind of what happened right at the very end here. And it was just a complete disarray of teams just fighting constantly. But we were able to catch a lot of the action. Why is that, personally? Because a lot of the teams were making the rotations, and they got caught in between rotations. The fights were so long because of the positional advantages that some of these teams had. they didn't really fight right at the very beginning. It was not a lot of scrappy fights. It were fights where the teams were almost fully kitted up. They had blue shields, they had purple armor, some had red, some had gold. So they had the potency when it came down to the weapons, the grenades, and also the armor. So in a way, this was a fully kitted out game, but the spread was a little bit much more towards the southern side, causing a lot of these plays to happen. They tried to rotate into the much more higher loot areas. Some of them tried to rotate on towards the side of mid, trying to access towards fragment east and west. They were just not able to get the things that they really wanted to go in for. So right at the very end, it was the last four squads. A very, let's say, common Apex game, I would say. Not for a professional team, because in the professional team, you would see more than 10 squads alive right until the very end, but it's a much more mellow game. So it's a really good
Hmm.
baseline start, because with this baseline, I guess we can go into the next games in a much more, we're going to be able to go into a steady pace. So, hey, ladies and gentlemen, the match standings are ready. So let's head on down over there and see exactly who's the one to bring in all of the dough. And it's actually going to be 1 HP. That's surprising. Oh my god, 12 kills? These guys were on fire.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised because 1 HP, they were basically the bane of existence of so many teams. Like, they were able to force washed Apex bots into a corner. No, not just washed Apex bots. They were also able to, sandwich Stark Incarnate in between themselves and Wasabi. And then they topped off that sandwich by spreading that wasabi all over it and just gobbling it up. And 1 HP were picking up all the
Nice
kills. Those
tolerance.
were just two teams that they pitted against each other and they took the win. They also, I think, were able to third party in between the fight of Aviator and Hardstock to some extent. I'm not sure if it was them or if it was someone else, but they were also able to kill Team Phoenix, even though Team Phoenix had a goddamn Kraber in their hands.
Yeah, that's the side of Team 1 HP. I think that this is the 1 HP that you were expecting to see in day number 1 here, Crips, and they're actually
Yeah.
showcasing how good they can be if you allow them the chance to shine here. And hey, they were able to perform very beautifully. 17 points on the board. They were not able to get the win, but the amount of kill points here, an absolute beast of players from the side of Team 1 HP. But but at the same time, just look at popping off, man. They had two people, 7 placement points and 6 kill points with two people. These guys are a completely different breed of players entirely.
I mean, imagine what would have happened if they had all three of their players alive. They probably would have been able to win the game against Clutch Ministers and Washed Apex bots. And this was a very evenly paced game too, right? We saw that, and in fact, you mentioned one snap and a team is dead. Another snap, another team is dead. You know who else snaps? It's Thanos. And given the fact that half the teams died in between ring 3 and 4, we might just call that the Thanos circle because one snap and half the server is gone. I think that I
Let's
think
be
I'm gonna
like it.
bet on that. I've said this in multiple battle royale games. I've introduced the Thanos concept circle, but this is the first time I'm seeing an iteration of it in Apex Legends. Yeah, let's just use that whenever we see something like this next time around.
Yeah, for sure. Like depends on the spread of the map though. I think that
Yeah.
when you consider the southern side of the map, I think that spread is where the Thanos snap circle would be a lot more appropriate. But when you consider the northern side, I don't know. The northern side has a lot more different entry points that players can actually go in through, depending on how they want to rotate. That's my personal opinion, anyways. But I kind of like that ideology. A Thanos snap circle. Hmm. That actually sounds cool.
It does, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that basically is the game one wrapped up for you. I kind of want to see how this affects the overall standings because Team Phoenix was on the top of everyone else. And now they've only got 3 points. Everyone else is coming closer to them. There was a 20 something point buffer between them and teams like Clutch Ministers and Popping Off. I think that buffer would have gone down significantly after this match.
Now let's head on down over towards the overall standings and see where these teams are going to be holding up on the complete hierarchy. And hey, Team Phoenix, they're still going to be on that number one position, but hey, they cannot get a little bit too complacent because they had a really, really, really rough game here. 72 points, 65 on the side of Clutch Ministers, popping off with 62, Stalking Carnage with 50, Washed Apex Spots with 47, 1 HP, rising to the top from 27 points, all the way going up to the side of 44. They're getting closer, inching to that number 2 and number 1 spot, slowly but surely. They're getting there, but at the same time, the saddest story of them all has to be the side of Exome and Hearthstone D4 and Word.exe. The teams that were absolutely dominating on day number 1, they've kind of taken a back seat here.
At least the backseat is better than being locked up in the trunk. Then you're just being taken for a ride and you don't even know where you're headed. You're just going with the flow, hoping that you don't suffocate in there, hoping
No,
that
no.
somebody releases you from the trunk and you get to fight back at some point.
Crips, like whenever you are going out with a couple of your friends and it's like 6 friends and all of the car seats are filled. So you have to go down and do rock, paper, scissors with one of your friends of who's going to actually have to go inside of the trunk because there's not enough space in the car seats. I
Man,
think
just
they
get
have
an
lost
Uber.
out on that fight.
Just get an Uber. Get someone else to drive for you. And I think that's exactly what 1HP did in this game as well, right? They got the other teams to fight each other, and then they were the ones who got all the advantage at the end of it. That's what basically calling an Uber is. You get someone else to do the work for you.
Yep.
That's what 1HP did this time around. They were the smart people.
Yeah, they actually took their fights properly, but at the same time, I would like to see them actually survive for a little while longer. As much as the kill points really do matter, I think that the placing points are those guaranteed points that you need to try and harness for yourselves as much as you possibly can, as well as these skill points. So Team 1HP back when you consider qualifiers 1 as well, they had the exact same problem. Sometimes they went in a little bit too over aggressive and they paid the ultimate price for it with their own lives, and they were just not able to hold down the fort really strong, like as strongly as you would have hoped for, primarily because of one thing. They are a very, very, very aggressive team, but when it comes down to trying to position themselves from time to time, especially on the first game of the day, they kind of just, they get a little bit too effy and they try to be a little bit more over aggressive. But I think that they were trying to test out the waters. They're trying to see if they woke up on the right side of the bed or the left side of the bed today. So I think they woke up on the right side. Their aim is crispy. Their positioning is good enough. They just need to play it a little bit more slower, rein in that aggression, and try to place a little bit higher. Because if they're able to get that to that 27 or 29 point margin, they're gonna shoot up and they're gonna overthrow the side of Team Phoenix in a matter of seconds. But at the same time, we cannot forget about the side of X Omen, who have shown a different level of consistency when it comes down to trying to go towards that number 2 and number 3 position. Yes, they seemingly have been dethroned by the other teams, such as Washed Apex Bots, who have actually showed a different level of consistency, which are a lot more consistent in comparison to the side of X Omen. Because consider something, X Omen was that team we always knew was a dark horse. They were the sneaky, peaky like people who just completely came out of absolutely nowhere, took out a squad, and then you're like, how is Exomen in the top 3? Where have they been? How did they get here? And why is this happening? But now it's the
Yeah.
side of Washed Apex bots who are actually taking every single one of their engagements very smartly and very methodically, and them being able to secure so many placement points, as well as rack up a couple of kill points here and there, maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe 8. That's actually quite smart. Consistently getting 9 points and then consistently getting 5 to 8 points. It just adds up slowly but surely. As soon as one of the top teams slip, that's the moment you need to strike it. And Washed Apex Bots, they're just waiting for that.
Yeah, they just want to catch them slipping. And that's what Washed Apex Bots was doing against 1HP in Tree. They were both just, staring at each other, having a little bit of a, stare down, who blinks first, that kind of stuff. The childish kind of games you used to play in school. But then they both decided to abandon that area and move towards the launch side instead. And while we were witnessing this little awkward standoff of sorts near the tree area, Aviator Esports was able to take down X Omen. So yeah, even X Omen is a little bit of a hit and miss, right? I mean, sometimes they have a bunch of placement points, even the win sometimes, but they don't always have a lot of kills. Yeah, sure, they'll be able to wipe out one squad, but they won't be like 1HP who just goes on a 10 kill, 12 kill killing spree. And
Yeah.
definitely not like Team Popping Off who can combine both of them together if they have all their men online.
Yeah, Team Popping Off, they just show a different level of consistency in comparison to everyone else. And hopefully our point Northern Breeze is gonna be in soon enough because hey, the team dynamic without that guy, it just really doesn't work out. And I'm really hoping that moving on down the line, In map number 2, we're going to be able to see him and see the old team popping off back because they don't really have a lot of room to work with anymore. Yes, Proj was able to pull off an incredible feat, being able to get so many points on the board for his roster, 13 points, being a solo with his duo partner startup. That's actually admirable, but at the same time, they need to be going further beyond this admirable state because when it comes down to points, they are a team who wants to go down towards that number one. And if they're not able to get that number one, doesn't really matter who they are not going to be happy.
Competition's getting higher. Not higher. It's just getting more heated up. My bad.
Mhm.
Pardon my Englando.
England.
But this is just the start. Aggressive. I mean, the first game was pretty decent for us. It was evenly paced, but then this sets a good benchmark as to what a nice, peaceful game of Apex should look like. We've seen all sorts of games.
Peaceful game, he
We've
says.
seen super violent ones where everyone dies at the same time. We've seen
Mhm.
super sweaty ones where everyone's just packed into one tiny room together and then everyone's sweating bullets about who's going to die first. So we've seen all over the spectrum. Let's take a look at what the second game is going to be like, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen, because I can't wait. We're going to be starting the second game just after a short word from our sponsors.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to map number 2 of the Rise of Legion Apex Legends Tournament presented by Lenovo and Intel as we are back once again, dropping it down hard over onto World's Edge. And it's, of course, going to be Thermal Station coming on down for right off the get-go. Sorry, this is Launchpad, my bad. Launchpad coming on down right off the get-go. And at this stage, I don't really know how I feel about this. It's always this part of the map to try and, play with a couple of my feelings. And once again, are we actually going to be seeing a Thanos circle? But not really here, because considering the spread of these players, they've actually spread across everywhere. Countdowns on the table. Fragment East, Fragment West. They've just spread themselves out completely, and it's been a while. But 1 HP, they're back to their old shenanigans. They're back towards the side of Fragment.
Well. 1 HP can finally start doing the thing that they always wanted to do. That is, pick up the fight against Team Popping Off. Are they over here, though? Are Popping Off in Fragment? We'll have to wait and
I think
watch.
so.
Last time, they went towards the very southern edge of the map. In fact, they did not even land at any particular point of interest. They just dropped in the middle of nowhere, got a bunch of guns, and then they started to hide. I mean, that was expected from them, considering they did not have Northern Breeze in the server. I don't know why he did not join. Probably a bug or something. Or maybe his internet died or something like that. But this time, Northern Breeze is back. And Popping Off have all their members available to fight.
Swear to God, Stark Incarnate's Destroyer, he got a golden back for his R301. So good luck trying to survive this guy when he has you in his crosshairs.
Yeah, no reloads required for that one. Just switch to the other weapon, start
What?
fighting.
Another one? That's a purple. Come on, man.
I mean, hey, it's just RNG, man. And sometimes the Apex gods love you. Sometimes you get blessed with really good loot and absolutely no good positions in the circle. Sometimes
Other
you have...
times,
Yeah,
it's
another
a
time you might...
Mozambique. The golden Mozambique, man. You got a golden Mozambique.
Hey, listen. Back in Season 8, the Golden Mozambique, even if it wasn't gold, if it was just a Mozambique with a hammer point, that shit slapped. Like, yo, I was
Yeah, that is
hitting...
true.
Yeah, I was hitting 120 damage in a single shot with the Mozambique hammer points, and I was like, no, this is illegal. At one point, you could literally just play with pistols. You could have a wingman and a Mozambique, 2 shots with the wingman cracks your armor, 1 shot with the Mozambique, and you're dead.
Yeah, I miss those days when the Mozambique actually was able to do those 40-shot plays. But at the same time, I'm talking about, let's say, the OG Season 0 Mozambique. Do you want that in your hands in the gold variant?
Yeah, nah. Actually, the current Mozambique is kind of like balanced of some sorts. Like it has the potential to deal 45 damage in medium-ish range, which is fair, right? But sometimes it just does 15 damage because only one of the pellets connect. If all 3 pellets connect, it's 45 damage, but it's still okay. I mean, I think this is like the level of damage that Mozambique should be at, considering it's just a pistol. It's strong enough, but not as strong as the wingman. So yeah, I think it's good.
Wingman has always been too strong. But at the same time, what else is strong is going to be the side of Teamwork.exe's aggression, because they're just going in for it. And it's going to be IO and Gang seeking end up a lot of points here. Are they going to be able to survive? Not for long, though, I do believe, because Sark and Carnage on towards the back end are going to be the third party for this engagement. They're going to be able to spot out the members of Teamwork.exe, and it's just all about cleanup duty. Just go in for the push, go in for it hard, and go in for it fast. But at the same time, the Gibby, oh my god, Destroyer! He's just going in, man! This guy has absolutely no fear whatsoever. His teammates are not even present, not just yet, and he's just like holding his W key, being the Gibby and causing earthquakes everywhere.
Uh-oh. I think Team Bird.exe, they might have bitten off a bit more than they can chew. They started to have a really good time against one team, but now I think 2 teams are fighting them at the same time, and yeah, this really can't be good.
You consider the ideologies here, they need to be very careful because look who's on the left side. On the left, there's another squad just waiting, and they're going to be able to spot them out immediately. But still, the high ground advantage is still not going to be in their favor. The ultimate has been dropped, and it's going to be the zip lines being used as well. They're flying on up. The E-Rays are raining down hell. One by one, the bodies are going to drop. Ladies and gentlemen, they need to go in for it fast, though. But still, this side of Destroyer INRC is still not going to be able to survive. Positions are just not going to be good as well. The side of Word.exe, they've already lost out on that first initial player. One's going to get picked up on towards the back, and Dagon's going to be able to heal himself back up to full justice. But Lord, you just don't do that to that man. You don't show that level of disrespect. You show him a little bit of respect to the process. But yeah, that's Target Carnage. They're not going to show it.
Jesus Christ, that was nasty. And now while we were looking at that fight, we move on towards Thermal Station where Heartstuck are fighting a completely different behemoth. These guys are up against Team Moth, and this is a completely different because all players available, and now there's just gonna be an awkward stare down from the doors.
It's just about chilling, it's just about taking these fights, and with that,
It's not just them over here, even Team Phoenix is over here. In fact, Team Phoenix is the one that's currently pressuring Team Moth, and Heartstuck,
wait, how many
while they
spots
were
are
in
there?
the fight, they were just somewhat stuck in the sidelines. They're just waiting for the perfect time to strike in third party.
Moth is vibing at the bottom. There's another squad who's shooting out Team Phoenix. And Team Phoenix could just die out here. They're going to be able to take the other building control at the bare minimum in their favor. But still, this is not a spot that they really want to be in. Oh no, the doctor, please. Doctor, I know for a fact that you're trying to give them a shot here. I would know you want to check up on them, but still, COVID's kind of dangerous, my man. You just got to chill. Social distancing, my brother. But I don't think he got the memo. He's still going to go in for it. Look at this. I don't like this. The doctor's going a little bit too deep for his patients, man. He needs to vibe. He needs to chill for a second.
Yeah, but you can't chill over here. This is like an oven. The longer you stay in here, you're getting baked. And this is not the kind of bake that you would want to be at this moment in time. It's just a death sentence and waiting. Slowly and surely, you're running out of oxygen. You're suffocating in there. Team Phoenix with their purple shields. Their enemies with like white evos inside. This is an unfair fight, and how on earth are Team Phoenix finding so many grenades and utilities to throw? Like, they just have a bunch of Fox Stars, and the floor is lava at this point. There's like 2 thermite grenades, damage being connected all over the place, and somehow none of these guys are running out of utility. There's Arc Stars and thermite grenades available everywhere. How on earth do you find so much stuff? And there's a very cheeky corner that Ultimate Noob is able to find with that window, and then his teammate follows up on the back of it. Really good stuff, and they finally are able to destroy their opponents. And Team Mott, attracted to the flame, the eternal, ever-burning flame of Team Phoenix, they come a little too closer to the fire, and Team Phoenix burns them to a crisp.
As they burn them to a crisp.
Hey, come on. I take that joke to my face, okay? You gotta give me a little...
I'm proud. I'm proud. I am proud. When he actually ridicules his own name, I am so proud.
Hey. Takes a man to, you know, take a joke.
But honestly, you ridiculing your own name has to be something that I've not seen in a pretty long time. But at the same time, I believe that the side of Skyhawks, this time around, they probably wants to go in for a little bit of a fight and probably ridicule themselves in the process because they are not looking strong when it comes down to the terms of loot. And yeah, they know for a fact they need to dip. They need to go out immediately because considering the fight that just happened, it's just not going to be looking that good. It's going to be the doctor being able to check up on one of his patients in Gibraltar. Little bits of HP, nothing that she can do to try and survive this. Tries to run on away, but gets taken down in the process as well. And Skyhawks, they made the biggest mistake of their entire life. Trying to fight a squad that was actually just vibing and chilling out after killing out another squad. They need to know for a fact that they're gonna have the worst armor here because one squad wipe equals to getting a purple shield for all of your members. So them not knowing this, they lost out on their most important player being the Gibraltar.
The Gibraltar is very important in matches like these. It gives you a little bit of a reset potential so that you can get everything back up online. Your players, your shields, whatever you need. But yeah, without the Gibraltar, things are definitely going to be difficult. Aviator Esports, oh my god, these guys on the other hand are about to get destroyed, and Three Punchers are able to win this game. This is happening all the way in Skyhook, I assume. And yeah, at the northern edge of the map, area is secured, but unfortunately Unit X are also going hot on their heels. They want to finish off Three Punchers before they get a chance, and that's it.
Yeah,
many players won't finish off. Are they then? I think there might be one player surviving. I'm not really sure.
They should have probably got taken out. Yeah, Three Punchers Spoopy. He's just alive. He's just vibing, bro. And he's like, don't worry, guys. I'll save you soon enough. As soon as Unit X leaves the spot. Until they do, I'm just gonna look at the paint drying.
Yeah, that's not vibing. That's more like grieving. You're just sad over the loss of your team. Thinking of ways to bring them back.
It's fine. I don't want to make it morbid, but at the same time, I think the Team Phoenix, though, they're not really getting my memo here. Stop tracking the guys straight through the air and destroying them while they're flying away, man. They just want to fly. They believe that they can fly, so let them fly for once. Yeah, they're like, what is this? What is this? Doctor, just stop.
Yeah, their opponents are flying, and at the same time they're crying because Team Phoenix, they are frying them up in the air.
Hey,
These
right.
guys, I'm telling you, man, the amount of flame puns that I can bring up with Team Phoenix, it is unbelievable.
I gotta go to your house and check your notebook from time to time. I feel as though I'm gonna find a lot of puns written about flames. Hey, if you come to my house, you're gonna see a lot of puns written about crispy things, so it's fine.
I can see that. I don't know whether I should feel embarrassed or flattered.
Oh god. Anyways, now it's gonna be the side of Hardsuck D4s to probably try and flatter us with a couple of their own incredible plays. Breaking out the jump pad though, that's really smart from the side of Renoff. Being able to cut off any sort of a rotation play that they can make. Beautiful position from the side of Renoff. This guy could just complete the bullets the entirety on the side of Team Phoenix. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The Doctor take a back seat because now it's gonna be the Surgeon's turn to shine. And with Renoff getting such a beautiful squad wipe with his positioning, not really being in a position that they can really fight off against. This is a pretty bad squad. They're gonna go take down one squad, but now they're gonna be the ones to get third party. Here comes the Peacekeeper going in for a couple of bullets. Arceus has this shot out. And now it's just about cleanup duty. Clutch Ministers comes in as the third party to squad wipe the person that took down the side of Team Phoenix. And with that, the third party is gonna be pretty strong here. Another squad bunts the dust, but at the same time here, 11 squads are still remaining. I think that we're in for one of those 9 squad circles here, Chris. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
I mean, Hardsuck were able to eliminate Team Phoenix, and then Clutch Ministers come in to destroy them both. That's the kind of third parties that we're even looking for, and there is no fourth party on top of it, so that's kind of good for the side of Team Clutch Ministers. It was a good
Now
start for them,
unorthodox.
and at this point, Stark Incarnate, they're in a similar situation where they were last time, stuck in the same building. Well, they're not stuck. They still have an option to go wherever they want, but
They're not hard stuck to them.
yeah, not hard stuck. And this is a different area too. Like, this is Countdown. Last time they were stuck in the launch side, so yeah, they're stuck in similar situations as it. The shape of the building is similar. The structure is similar. You've got a central window, you've got 2 doors at the side, and then 4 buildings surrounding you the same way. The only difference is Launchpad and Countdown. There are different underpasses below these areas, so yeah. The upper areas of these buildings are similar, but then the little sneaky tunnels underneath, yeah, those are different. And that kind of plays out differently too. Washed Apex Spots versus 1HP. Have we or have we not seen this rematch before?
Yeah, this was the fight that always does happen, and this is the fight where the side of Team Washed Apex Spots has consistently been able to take down their opposition, but at the same time, this is a chance for the side of 1HP to actually maybe take the world by storm and be able to take down their opposition. Will they be able to do it though here? Because it's going to be the real question, because 1HP, they just have the better loot. They're the ones who went in for a lot more of those fights earlier on, and Crips, my god, Crips was able to actually be the one to actually get himself a gold shield, and with that gold shield, he's easily gonna be able to hold down the fort properly for his team and also go in for very aggressive plays of his own. But now it's gonna be Exoman's turn. Exoman, they're getting defensive bombarded by another team holding on down through from the choke point, and with the circle pushing them out, they need to go on down in. They're in the absolute open, and they don't even have a Gibraltar shield to work with. If they die here, they're gonna die on their lonesome, and there's nothing that they can do about it.
Unit X very successful in gatekeeping the majority of Team X Omen. And will they be able to finish them off? There's just one more left, and I think that is it. They're on the verge of finishing off. And they fall to dust. Team X Omen, once again, falling victim and can't even get into the top 6. But Countdown is heating up once again. This time it's Stark Incarnate, and they're kind of stuck in between 2 teams. Washed Apex Spots on one side, Team 1HP underneath, and they have a bunch of difficult decisions to make over here. The Gibraltar shield will help them reset for a little bit, but that doesn't really keep them safe. And at this point, Stark Incarnate have no choice but to push into one of these teams. They can't afford to stay over there and get pummeled by both of them. They need to choose between one of them and hope the other one doesn't third party. And it seems like the decisions are not really paying off. They are moving in, going full send. And after getting a little bit of damage done, they turn around towards the other side, realizing that their other opponents are right behind their backs. They decide to deal with the ones close up first, and Washed Apex Spots, they're able to liberate one of these sides. They do lose one of their players, but at least they're able to wipe out one squad. This does make things a little bit easier. Stark Incarnate, on the other hand, these guys are just down to Glorissa. This is becoming a lot more difficult to deal with than one would have imagined. But Washed Apex Spots, at least they did a decent job of keeping themselves alive. So Stark Incarnate lose 2. Washed Apex Spots lose 1. Meanwhile, Clutch Ministers, they're not even participating in this battle. They're just very happy with wherever they are. Oh, but it seems like Clutch Ministers can't really resist the temptation of a fight like this. They will want to go in eventually. Especially when they realize that Glorissa is all alone by himself. That's an easy target for pickings. And they want to get rid of him right off the bat. And while all these teams are busy fighting inside of Countdown, you've got Team popping off on top of the triple tower, controlling all the rotations in the open ground. And this is gonna force all the teams who are coming outside of Countdown to be very, very careful right now. They have the potential to gatekeep a majority of these teams, and they've got the Kraber too. So popping off can quite literally pop off all the heads. The only disadvantage that they have right now is that they're in the smack center of the zone, and they're on the high ground too, which means every team can shoot at them. I think at this point the win criteria for popping off is less about getting kills and more about surviving up until the end. The central position and the best position in the circle does come with a lot of curses. The best position is a boon, but because everyone will be focusing on you, that's your bane. So you gotta be able to manage this great advantage that has been bestowed upon you. You gotta manage it with survivability. Things coming to a little bit of a stalemate. Popping off in center, many other teams around all their sides. They've spotted one of the teams just outside the tunnels of Skyhook. One team in between the canyons which lead towards the Fragment City. And then two teams coming out of staging and countdown respectively. My goodness, the win condition is set. All they need to do is stay alive right now. And hopefully conserve as many Kraber shots as possible, because these will be game-changing for them. And they've got the Spitfire too. Wait, how many special loot items do they have at this point? They've got a Kraber, they've got a Spitfire too. And from this place, they can basically destroy anyone and everyone. They might be just running out of ammo considering how many shots they will have to fire. And this clearly tells you everything you need to see. You have Stark Incarnate solo survivor Glordessa surviving all by himself towards the upper end of the circle. Right beside him is Scorpion and Flexi. So those are two teams on the upper side. And then you've got Team Unit X in between the passes which lead to Fragment City, and the circle is going to push them out first. And then you have got just one more team coming in from underneath. Here comes Stark Incarnate, going in for the center. Keep in mind that the only person near Stark Incarnate is the lone survivor from the side of Clutchman. I'm sorry, from the side of Stark Incarnate. That's Glordessa. If Glordessa is able to keep himself hidden from the eyes of Clutch Ministers, he will be able to survive this one. And now Clutch Ministers are focused only and only on popping off. Glordessa is just going to be hoping that they find Clutch Ministers first before they find him. And then there are the other teams. John FPS, Metro Legion, I believe that's Washed Apex bots, who have a lot more cover than everyone else. So yeah, like Stark Incarnate and Clutch Ministers basically have no cover except for this ridge that they are hiding under. And the only cover that they have is like vertical cover of sorts, which will keep them safe from team popping off. But if Washed Apex bots are able to get an angle onto them, that's going to be it. That's going to be the end of them. And popping off at this point, with enemies right underneath them, they would wish that they have grenades and thermite grenades and arc stars and whatnot. Because it's really difficult to get an angle onto the players directly underneath you like this. And especially that you're going to have to climb up on the ledge, the risk of you falling off or the risk of someone else attacking you just becomes so much more. Washed Apex bots finally reveal their position. I'm actually surprised that Washed Apex bots haven't found the team to their right-hand side. There are enemies right there. But it seems like none of these teams are fighting each other. In fact, every one of them is just focused on popping off. And I want to see when popping off decides to start hitting the shots. They're running out of ammo at this point. They got to be very careful. And that's why you just see that they're just being very, very careful right now. They're just displaying a lot of tricky discipline. They're hoping that they can instigate these teams to fight each other. Maybe fire shots at two of them, and then hope that those two start fighting each other. But now Washed Apex bots are going in for the push. And they need a lot of cover. John FPS has been taken down. Finished off too. Gibraltar inside the shield will be able to get directly underneath them. To an angle by popping off, don't really have a line of sight onto them anymore. But no! Now Copy X, he starts to shoot at Metro Legion and Switchy. And while all of this is happening, Scorpion and Flexi, they're just making this one work. Unfortunately, Glordessa has also been found, and he's still alive. He tried to go for the seal swap, but that's not going to be possible. Down to the last three teams right now. It's Washed Apex bots versus it's Washed Apex bots versus Clutch Ministers versus popping off. This is literally like a repeat of the previous game. The only difference is there's no team 1 HP. But now let's see what happens. I really want to check out when popping off decide to drop off this tower, or if they decide to drop off at all. Because these teams can't really fight each other. The two teams underneath, they can maybe start fighting. But that is if they find each other. I don't think popping off is going to get out this area anytime soon unless the ring forces them to. And that's what happens when you get an angle onto them. Northern Breeze basically melts him. The last clip of the Spitfire round remaining in his magazines. And they're running very low on HP. The Kraber hasn't even been used yet. And they want to use the Kraber as much as possible from the high ground. Because up close and personal, I don't know if they'll be able to make good use of the Kraber. 3 squads left. It's a 3 versus 3 versus 1 situation. Or maybe a 3 versus 3 versus 2. The other teams are just basically invisible right now. And popping off are trying to hold on to their high ground advantage for as much as possible. The moment they drop down, they're going to pop their bubble. And everyone goes inside. Flexi and these guys, they are just carnage all over the place. Clutch Minister surviving. And what happened? In a matter of seconds, popping off is able to win. That is how you want the game to end, ladies and gentlemen. positional advantage right from the start, and this is just clinical precision from the side of Team Popping Off. A matter of seconds, and the two remaining teams go down. They're thrown into the wind, and they are taken for a ride. Jesus, that was a really, really good game from the side of Team Popping Off. I want to see the highlights right now because this is such good trigger discipline. I mean, it really takes a lot of trigger discipline to not use up all their ammo. And you saw that these guys were just down to the last magazines. They had just enough ammo left for one clip in their guns. Yeah, sure, they have the Kraber, but at that close range, the Kraber starts to become a little irrelevant. We saw a lot of different fights up in this area near Landslide. Like Stark and Cornet, these guys, unfortunately, they were able to do a decent bit of damage right here. But then I feel really sorry for Verdi XC. I mean, they started to fight against Stark and Cornet, which was good. But then 3 teams started to shoot them. Stark and Cornet was just one of them. From far away, Team Aviator Esports were taking shots at them. And at this point, there's really not much that Verdi XC can do. And they've not been having the best of days so far. So I feel kind of bad for Verdi XC over here because they lost the edge that they had, unfortunately. And it wasn't even their fault. There was a team shooting at them from the triple tower. And you know what the triple tower is? It's the one tower that Team Popping Off were on. And from that area all the way to Landslide, it's like at least like 800, 700 something meters, more than that maybe. If you get shot from that far away, there's really not much that you can do to predict what's going to happen. But then Team Phoenix were doing a pretty good job. I think Team Phoenix will have quite a lot of kills this time around. Like at one point, they were able to destroy Team Moth. And then they were able to destroy a lot of other teams while moving into the circle. So yeah, I think Team Phoenix also had quite a decent performance this time around. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for 3 punchers. They were able to win one fight, but then they got immediately third-partied by Unit X, and that was it. They thought that Skyhook was safe enough, and why wouldn't they? It's a big enough city. There's plenty of places to hide inside. But here's yet another push from the side of Team Phoenix. And I think this time they were engaging with Team Hardstock. Like, look at the tracking mid-air. They burned them to a crisp, and at this point, Aki basically started to ridicule me. Oh, that bastard. I'm never gonna get tired of his jokes, though. Good luck to him, trying to make me crack up, though. Team Phoenix, these guys were cracking everybody's skulls. They basically third-partied onto the fight between Stock and Connor and Hardstock. And at that point, Team Phoenix was just the Grim Reaper of the server. Because they've already wiped out 2 squads so far. And then they're able to third-party once again. That's like their 3rd squad wipe off the game, maybe even the 4th one. I stopped keeping track. I cannot keep track when these guys are being so sweaty and taking kills left, right, and center. That's basically Team Phoenix for you. And good stuff from them, because this is kind of going to enable them to retake their lead. I mean, they had a 20-point lead going into the first game of the day, but then after having a bad game number 1, that lead was kind of lost because Team Popping Off and Clutch Ministers were able to negate the buffer to quite a bit of extent. And now Popping Off, now that they won the game, I think that buffer will be closed even further. So all these kills will really start to matter for the side of Team Phoenix if they want to stay on the top. Uninex, X-Omen, these fights are kind of irrelevant because they're happening on the edge of this canyon, and this is the one tunnel that you use in order to get away from Skyhook and move towards the open grasslands. And while Unitex were doing a decent enough job, I love the performance from the side of Washed Apex bots. They basically destroyed Stock Incarnate. They were stuck in between them and 1 HP. And then Washed Apex bots, they lost only 1 player. They lost the Gibby. And honestly, in a situation like this, losing the Gibby can be a death sentence because that's like the only person that can provide you a little bit of a calm place in the middle of a hellish battlefield. Yeah, but even after losing the Gibby, these guys were able to keep themselves alive. I was even more impressed by Glordessa because he was able to stay alive up until the top 5, considering that he was the last man for his team, the lone survivor, the rat underneath their noses. Yeah, that was impressive. But then Popping Off with that trigger discipline. I want to see what happens in the highlights because I could not get to see it the first time around. And they go in. Flexi gets Northern Breeze. Startup guy also goes down. But then, all of a sudden, it's just Prudge. He wins everything. Metro Legion was able to get quite a lot of kills too, but then Prudge is able to clutch this out. Even though Northern Breeze and Startup Guy got taken out very early, it's Prudge who manages to make the clutch. Those two rhyme as well. But take a look at this. Popping Off. They win the game with 6 kills. That's like 2 squad wipes. But Clutch Ministers have a lot more kills than them, and they finished second. So both the teams are tied at this point. That is impressive. Even more impressed by Washed Apex Boss because they were stuck in between a rock and a hard place. For them to get to the third place while surviving that hellish battlefield inside of Countdown, oh man, that is so impressive. I hate areas like launch site, Countdown, staging also to some extent because they're all very similar and you can get very easily caught in between like 3 4 teams over there and getting out of it is a mess, honestly. It's like trying to navigate a maze except you have no eyes and ears and you can't even see what's happening. That's the kind of situation that Washed Apex Spot was stuck inside. They were getting shot from everywhere, but even after losing to Gibraltar, the fact that they can stay alive up until third place is beyond impressive. Take a bow. Stock Incarnate, their player Glordissa was able to rack them to the fourth place. Unitex and Three Punches somehow have more kills. Not more kills per se, but more points than the others. But Phoenix have only 6 kills, which is still impressive considering that these guys were just third partying and never initiating fights of their own. So these are just 6 free kills. But considering that they were only getting 3 kills, they should have been able to survive for a lot longer. But hey, this is the Battle Royale. You can't always be guaranteed the best positions. Yeah. So yeah, that was basically game number 2 summed up. And Sides also to some extent they had a bad time. Sides and I believe it was also Word EXE. Yeah, these two guys were just stuck. And unlike Washed Apex bots, they could not survive the third party situation. So that was a little unfortunate. And yeah, basically all of Apex is like inviting guests, uninvited guests to a party where you're just basically having a good time with your friends, and then all of a sudden the third party comes in, an uninvited guest comes in, barges inside, and takes all the kills. Yeah, the feeling of an uninvited guest is never really present. Hey, don't get me wrong, but hey, we have another uninvited guest over here. It's Assassin47. My man, how are you? Sorry for the unappealing welcome, but hey, I mean, this joke was coming. It's no fault of your own.
Hey, what's up, Chris? Well, definitely. Good to be back to Apex Legends, and yeah, good to be sharing the desk with you as well. How are you doing? How's the matches going? I feel as if popping off have finally got themselves a win today, huh?
Yeah. And it was a pretty good win too. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun in the last 3 games because the vibe of the first game was very mellow. All the teams were dying, but one after the other. There were no, sudden burst, sudden surge of kill feed, or there was no, 10 teams surviving at the same time. Nothing like that. It was actually a very mellow game. And then the second game was very strategic from the side of popping off. It felt like we were seeing 5 dimensional chess to some extent. But while all of this is happening, it's just the second game of the day. Seventh game overall in this 15-game series. So now we're approaching the halfway point in the tournament. And let's see, halfway through the tournament, what do the standings look like?
Well, it looks like the clutch ministers are going to be the ones to be at the top of the board with 2 wins, 44 placement points, and 39 kill points, a total of 83 points for them. Popping off just following them with a total of 80 as well. So it looks like they're popping off, even though they were not able to rack up a win yesterday, they did put up quite a lot of kill points, right? So thus we're seeing them in the second spot as well. Well, expected on the side of popping off because they are the ones who are known to gather a lot of kills and uh, do a lot of chaos in the server as well. Total of 80 points for them as well. So looks pretty good. If they can rag them one more win or maybe a couple of wins as well, then maybe they're going to be the ones to go ahead and take the top spot on the board at the end of the table, at the end of the day, my bad. And speaking of the end of the table, we got Vector Sports there with 0 points. What happened to them though?
Vector Sports? I honestly don't know. It kind of feels like they did not even show up. I think that might have just been the case. And there were a few no-shows. Like in the first game, Northern Breeze did not show up for the side of popping off, but they were still able to get to the third place, which is very impressive. And Clutch Ministers and popping off, they just have a difference of 3 points in between them right now. Team Phoenix was on the number 1 spot up until now, but now they've lost the lead and they're at the third place. But hey, it's just a buffer of 4 points between them and the number 1 team. So it's not that big of a deal, right? It's not that big of a deal. The top 3 teams at this point are more or less in a league of their own. And Stark Incarnate, they are almost 19 points behind Team Phoenix. So they have a lot of catching up to do.
That they definitely have, and I feel as if the side of Team Clutch Ministers they're going to be a little bit of a problem because they know for a fact they're popping off or catching up. And with this victory as well coming out from them, Clutch Ministers are going to be a little scared. They're going to be sweating as well, but all they have to do is just keep up with their performance and not let popping off take the lead and walk away with a massive lead as well. That is at, on this particular day, because the problem is that if popping off go ahead and take on a massive lead, then it's going to be very hard for the side of Clutch Ministers to catch up as well. So yeah, Phoenix. Yesterday they did pretty well, is what I heard. Aggressive did brief me saying that Phoenix had a pretty good run. They were at the top spot of the table at the end of the day, if I'm not wrong.
I mean, the top spots are always up for grabs. You can never really book your slot over there, right? For the longer time. You can book it for like a few days. It's kind of like a hotel, but it's not like a house. You can stay there, but you're not always welcome to stay there. You're going to have to leave eventually, unless you can keep paying off the rent in forms of frags, and then you can, just pay it off in blood of your enemies, that is. So, yeah, that's a steep price to stay on the top. The penthouses are always expensive, like I say.
That's right. So with that, we're going to be seeing the side of Washed Apex Spots, Talking Carnate, 1 HP, and even Hudstock D4. They're going to try and get something done as well, by the way. And we are going to be expecting to see the side of Washed Apex Bots maybe try and get themselves a win. Stalking Carnate, on the other hand, we know for a fact that they were the ones who actually made quite a lot of difference in Qualifier 3. So, yep, looking forward to seeing them put up a win as well. As soon as we're going to be seeing that, we might just see them dethroning the side of Phoenix and maybe challenging popping off as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, all of this will be spoken about later on as well. But for now, let us just jump into the third game of the day. That's going to be the match 8 of the tournament. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we are approaching the halfway point of the tournament. There are 15 games in total. 7 games are already done. Now we're starting with the 8th game. And at this point, the teams have a massive realization that will dawn upon them. They need to speed up. They need to put the pedal to the metal, and they need to haul ass. They gotta be very, very quick right now. Let's see what happens in game number 8, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be starting with that match after a short word from our sponsors.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third match of today. And yes, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are back with the Rise of Legion, presented by Lenovo and Intel. And thanks to my boy Zach, he was able to take over for me right at the get-go. But it feels as though the fights here could just be a little bit more interesting. And I really want to ask you, Chris, who actually won out on my game number 2, because technical difficulty-wise, I saw absolutely. Oh, Grips is not here right now, and it feels as though technical difficulties are going to be all over the place. But for now, don't really worry about it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about the side of map number 2 in just a little while, because I am still very much confused. I really want to talk about what really happened, but at the same time, I can take a little bit of a chill pill and see exactly what's happening here on this game in particular. Considering I don't know what happened just yet, so we are just going to walk right through the teams and the positions that they have landed for. It's once again a very even spread, and it feels as though a lot of these teams are going in for the same positions over and over again, depending on the circle, independent of the circle position. Sorry. The circle, though, is still in the favor of the side of Hearthstone D4, and it's actually towards the bottom left side of the map. And having a bottom left-sided circle basically means that this is quite a dangerous thing to try and control here. Because consider something.
Brawler SMG here.
Trying to go in for such a position can be really good, but with the circle trying to push you over to the edge so often, if the circle is anywhere near the side of thermal station, this is going, sorry, lava siphon, and not thermal station, lava siphon. This is gotta be one of the much more interesting circles because now it's all about positioning. Whoever has the better building control, whoever has the better rock, pretty much in this case, is gonna be the one to survive all. Oh, come on, dude! Whoever has the better rock, it has to be the one. It has to be the team that wins everything out. Because here towards the side of lava siphon, it's all about the rocks. You know.
Right, what did I miss? Tell me something. Tell me something cool. Have
I
we
think I
any...
missed a lot more than you because I have no idea who won out on the second game because of my technical.
All right. So yeah, there were a few technical issues on both our sides. All right. Team popping off were able to win the second game, and that was a pretty cool win too. I wish you were there for that. But here we have Team 1 HP, and they are on the verge of wiping out their opponents already. Unintended jump pad, but I think he's not gonna be too sad about it.
Yeah, he's just gonna be vibing. He's gonna be chilling. His team's got him covered, and they're gonna be the ones to take it all out. But Three Punchers, on the other hand, they're gonna be going in for their own fight, not near towards the side of Skyhook. They're just trying to hold down the fort, and 1 HP, they're trying to go in for that chase. Who are they chasing, though, is gonna be the real question here. Tied down to very low levels of HP, there's not really anywhere that they can go. It's gonna be Reverb and Gang, so I believe this was the side of team... I kind of forgot. God damn it.
I guess we'll have to check the list names and whatnot. But hey, with this, there are just 15 squads left in the server right now. And it seems like there will be 14 soon enough because Skyhook is a very dangerous place to be. It's Stark Incarnate versus Three Punchers once again. Last time Stark Incarnate was able to third party them. This time they're initiating the fight themselves. Glorious is already knocked down. Destroyer.
Oh, it's
and
Skyhook.
Yeah, like the Battle of Skyhook is always been one of the complicated battles, and especially with the raid portals and many more places to go around, there's just so many avenues that you can get shot from, and Three Punchers have to be very careful about all of this. They've just not been given a chance to hit back. And now 2 players are down. It's just Koopy left. Unfortunately, even if he puts down a Gibby bubble right now, it's not going to help his teammates quite a lot. It just gives them the opportunity to shield dance, which may or may not work in his favor. But given that Stark Incarnate have much more players alive right now, it probably is going to be the latter.
That's gonna hurt just a tiny little bit there. Stark Incarnate, they're gonna be the ones to take down their opposition, and in a very beautiful fashion as well. Please consider something. Not only were they able to win out this fight, not being a very scrappy one other than one of the players losing out on their armor, they still have a lot of resources to work with, and their opposition were not able to use their own resources, so they can just add up over and over again, allowing you to go in for these fights accordingly. But at the same time, Team Phoenix, they could just be playing with a little bit too much fire. Yes, they are the Phoenixes, but they need to be very careful of how much fire they actually play with, because even the Phoenix can die out if the immortal flames get extinguished by something even more deadlier. But now.
Oh, and you said you don't want to be morbid.
Oh, come on! I watched too much Harry Potter. I watched too much Harry Potter for this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I had a crush on Emma Watson for the longest time, so
Okay,
that's my reason for watching Harry Potter.
Let's go here.
The casual Indian flex right there.
Hey!
The crush on Emma Watson. Oh!
Okay, no. Alright, let me tell you something. Most people have crushes on Emma Watson, and while I do have a crush on her, I think Luna Lovegood is even better.
I actually agree with you there. I actually like that level of mystery and level of innocence actually does.
Yeah. Hey, but it seems like these guys have a crush on one thing and one thing only.
That price
The
money.
idea of crushing their opponents.
And also the prize money.
And also the prize pool. Yeah, of course. How can you forget that? The massive $4,000 prize pool, ladies and gentlemen. More lucrative than any other feeling in the world. The sound of money. That's what they're addicted to. Our producer just said he has a crush on Moaning Myrtle. Yuck! Yuck! Why?
Okay, here is where the producer kicks us out of this call. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna see you guys later on. But yeah, that's not gonna happen just yet. Because now the side of team popping off, they're gonna be popping their own heads off after what happened right there. If they heard about voting Wordle, yeah, I don't think that.
Yeah, people
They're
will
gonna
just
be
chop their own ears off if they hear us right now. So let's just focus on Apex Legends. We can discuss magical creatures later on.
I'm just confused that you actually consider voting Wordle a magical creature. But okay,
I mean, she's not a human, so she is a creature of sorts. Ghosts are also
okay,
creatures,
we'll talk
right?
about this later. We'll talk about
Yeah.
this later on our own personal time, on our personal space, because this is going way off topic, really, really quick. Going on topic though, it's gonna be the side of team popping off, trying to go in for that first initial fight, but Wasabi, they're getting shot on down towards the back, and it's actually Unit X. Sadly, they don't have one of their players, so this is gonna hurt them in the long run. Or are they actually gonna be pulling off a team popping off and actually get like about 16 to 15 points on the board?
Enemy over there.
That could be very impressive to watch if they actually pull it off, but the chances are low. And Unix have been struggling with a 3-man roster in the last 2 games. I doubt they'll be able to pull something off like this in this particular match. But hey, they've been dealing quite a lot of damage, which means they should be able to naturally level up their Evo shields up to purple if they keep this up. And they're not in a dangerous spot as of yet. Like they can't get pinched where they are right now. They're near the tree at that point. I think there are plenty of escape opportunities as well, so yeah, not in so much danger. But here in Thermal Station, Team Hardstock, they're connecting shots onto the players who try to take the jump tower, and they had to abandon it midway. Oh, that's the price of being on that tall zipline. And that's what happens when you go up against a charge rifle like that at distance. My god, it's such an annoying weapon to deal.
Yeah, the charge rifle is one of those strong weaponries that can just absolutely demolish their opposition. But Hearthstone D4, they're just not in a spot to use that charge rifle efficiently, because you do need to remember the charge rifle takes a little bit of time to try and go in for that full burst of damage, even if your tracking is absolutely perfect. And the tracking is going to be good from the side of Renom, but the position that they're in and the cover that their opposition can take is just a little bit too good to be true for them to get a lot of value out of it. So moving on down the line, they're just not going to be able to find a lot out of it. But down towards the back end though, Aviator Esports, they're trying to go up against another squad of their own, and Word.exe, they could be on the receiving end of a lot of hurt, or they could be the deliverer of the pain as well. They have a really good position. They have the high ground, and in this high ground, I would say that the positioning advantage is pretty strong here. But at the same time, their back is not covered. And if they get pushed on their back end when they're trying to take a fight from this high ground, things could end disastrously for them.
Harvester is starting to become a little bit crowded right now. Wordy XE, Watch Apex bots, both of them present in this area, do not give me the good vibes. And Team Moth, once again, they're fighting near a tree. These guys have been just getting into trouble in this area so many times. The good part is, since this is their home turf, they have been able to more or less survive in this area quite a lot. But will they be able to do it this time around? They've managed to get 1 kill. But the danger is not over yet. I think the player that they just managed to kill has lost his teammates to the extent where they've fallen away. Not lost them, like lost them, dead, lost them. Nah. They just abandoned him, left him for dead. Team Phoenix are also coming up to this area now. And Team Phoenix is someone that has been challenging Moth over here time and time again. And this is like a rematch of sorts, because both these teams end up fighting each other near the tree area. If not the tree area, sometimes they even end up fighting in Geyser. And both of them in the middle of rotation in the second circle. So yeah, this is like a recurring trend right now.
What is exactly happening? When you consider Team Phoenix, though, they're not in a good squad. One of their players have already gotten taken down, and players that they were trying to go in for a fight against, they've actually tried to run on away. And I think that ultimate move, he's paying the ultimate price for it with his own life. No puns intended, because a little bit too much aggression, a little bit too much spread from your teammates can cause this to happen. So in a way, the silver lining would be that the opposition team ran away from this fight, which is a little bit questionable, but at the same time, I understand. You just want to go in for that rotation. You don't want to stagnate inside the circle spot to try and push on towards the side of Team Phoenix, because Team Phoenix could be that team to take you out if you are not careful. They're going to be able to go in for that respawn. They're going to be able to pick up their buddy at the bare minimum, take it down back, shoot at 3 versus 3 scenario once again. But they need to loot him up, and they need to do it quickly. Ultimate Loop, he's not in a pretty good position to say the very least. He needs to loot up quickly, and he needs to go, because with that zone now inching closer, and the third zone coming on down to the zone damage is going to go up in a matter of seconds.
Team Mods. Can they get inside though? That's the only thing I'm really concerned about. Just get inside the circle. Because if you don't, you will be gate kept. There's 12 squads remaining as aggressive, and it's the third ring. And we're going near Harvester. And this is one of those areas where we have seen, I believe, Team Clutch Ministers, or was it Team Stock Incarnate, win off?
Might be something good. This
No,
time.
wait, I forgot. We saw Team Heartsuck over here clutch this game. On this very cliff against Dark Incarnate. This is the exact place where Team Heartsuck were able to assault Team Stark Incarnate and
yeah,
win the game
yesterday.
for themselves. This just happened yesterday. And it took me a while to remember. It took me a little while to shake things up in the 2 remaining brain cells that I have up in here. But yeah, it reminded me of what Team Heartsuck was able to do. Now I'm really excited to see what they do once again, because this is a very similar situation what we saw yesterday.
I don't think the positions this time around though are gonna be as favorable as you would have hoped for. Team Phoenix, they're getting burned to a living, breathing crisp as they're trying and survive the onslaught coming on down through from the side of Team Mod. 150 rupees mouse though. It's just not gonna be in a good position for them to get this revive on. The Beast of the Hunt has been activated from the side of Shanks, and now the scans are gonna be ridiculed. They're just gonna be that annoying factor being like, yes, I'm scanning you. Yes, I'm scanning you. Try and run away now. I'm gonna be scanning you again. I'm trying to run away from the left. Try and go towards the right. There is no way you're gonna be able to survive. But grenades have been popped. The positions have been revealed. But the side of Team Mod, they do not want to go in for this push. Not just yet. 100 rupees mouse, I believe that he is gonna get disconnected, sadly. So there's not much that he can be done there. And just trying to run away at this stage. Team popping off, they're also in a pretty good position. The high ground advantage is still in the favor of a lot of the other teams. And trying to break the high ground for the side of Team Moth, it's going to be extremely difficult for them.
Things are starting to look a little too sweaty right now. Some of these teams are stuck near this massive snake spot. And we call it snake because it's like a giant S shape and there's like multiple layers to it. You get stuck over here predicting the ring to go in this location. You can be gate kept, you can be trapped. And the ring can screw you over in many different ways. It is a very risky place to be inside. Unless you know what you're really doing and unless you know your way in and around this area. Especially since they've added like more tunnels to this place which connect them to lava siphon and whatnot. If you know this area well enough, then you're fine. But considering that it's been like what, less than a month since the new season of Apex Legends map dropped, since this particular map dropped, I don't know if the teams know this area well enough to, you know, place their bets on it.
Yeah, it's kind of dangerous to be here, especially when you consider it being this open, but at the same time, it's a pretty good spot in general. You can kind of chill there, you can just kind of camp there and just hold down the fort, but people who are actually holding down the fort is actually going to be the side of Team popping off. They're holding out the rotation, and this rotation spot could just be the make it or break it for them. It is going to be Stardom Guy getting spotted out by 4 hostiles, and Stardom Guy's like, nope, nope, nope. We dip it, boys, we dip it. We go towards the other side, and we're not staying here for even a second. 4 hostiles pushing them. No way we're staying down here.
And they need to scan the next ring. They must, absolutely must scan the next ring if they actually want to be able to navigate these spots. If the next ring is going to end up inside this tunnel, this is the best place to be inside right now. If it's not going to be in here, then they need to get the hell out of here right now. Because if they don't get out of here, they will be stuck in here. They will be doomed. They will be imprisoned in this little spot. So they need to find a way to find out where the next ring is. I mean, if they're able to do that, all well and good. But at this point, it seems like they're going to give up on this pipe dream of theirs. Quite literally a pipe dream, because tunnel dreams don't exist. But hey, once they get out of here, they will be up against Team Sights. And Team Sights are up against some completely different team. And now they're getting bombarded by defensive bombardment as well. So they got a trap right now. And this is exactly why I hate this place. If you get trapped in here, there's no way out.
Yeah.
You are a dead meat.
Yeah, the person who are trying to gatekeep them, they just need to run on back. They don't need to take this fight. Why are they still trying to go in for this? I don't understand. Northern Reese is going to be able to take down Shiga. Oh no, the gatekeeping has gone completely wrong, but at the same time, 6 hostiles scanned here. Oh my god, how many people people are holding down the fort here. Sides is 2 players are going to get taken down as well. They're going to get revived though. At the bare minimum, that will be the only silver lining. But at the same time, Team 1 HP, they're going in for their own engagement. Who are they facing off against? It's going to be the real question. On the receiving end of a lot of this pain, the Gibraltar Shield is protecting them as much as it can. But the shield is already going to be going on down. It doesn't last forever here. But Team 1 HP, they're getting shot from the left. 12 squads remaining. Oh no, Chris, there's 12 squads remaining in this tiny little circle.
I
Are we
give up
gonna be
already.
in for one of the? Do I need to get ready? Do I need to go into my Eminem mode? I think I need to.
Forget Eminem mode. You're gonna have to go into information hunting mode because these teams know nothing about what's going on, and neither do we because there's just so much chaos. Oh my lord. I can't even imagine what the situation looks like in one of these players' shoes. They must be sweating bullets right here. Team 1 HP, now they're up against one team behind them, and let's see what makes of this situation because I don't know, man. It's gonna be super sweaty. They need to go inside the Harvester as well, and this is the 5th ring. How on earth are 12 teams even alive? I'm assuming there must be like 2 teams up on the higher levels of Harvester, 2 teams on the lower levels, and then everyone else over here just ducking down, popping off, trapped right behind 1 HP. There must have been 1 team behind popping off as well, but I don't know where they are. I don't even know if they're alive anymore. And here they go, full sended in, popping off. No, wait, this is not popping off. This is Team 1 HP going up against Team Sights. And Team Sights has been dealt with. All right, then. That's 1 less team to deal with. And 1 HP at least don't need to worry about getting backstabbed.
Yeah, this is a pretty good spot, but at the same time, 1 HP, they're in the worst possible position to be in. You don't want to be in this position when there are 10 other squads alive. Honestly, Crips, just look at this spot. If they try to push forward, they're dead. If they try to push to the back, they're dead. And I think the Northern Breeze found his little buddy, Shanks. Northern Breeze just found his little buddy. He's like, oh, hello there, buddy. What are you doing here? Do you want to stay with me? And Shanks is like, no, please don't kick me out. This is my house as well. Shanks, Northern Breeze is like, get out of here.
He can't get out of here. He says that to the other team, the other enemy and whatnot, but he can't get out of here. He's a dead man waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Just kick him out. Kick him to the curb.
He needs as many heals as possible and heat shields if possible, but even the heat shields will just keep him alive for a few more seconds. The best that he can hope for is that the other teams kill each other before he dies to the ring. Avid Esports on the verge of dying too. It's just Abizone left all by himself. Team Phoenix on the room inside. Harvester on the 1st floor. They have a pretty safe spot for themselves. And somehow, amidst all this chaos, Abi, he will be found, and that's going to be the end of Team Aviators. X-Omen now coming in from behind.
10 plus?
See? Yeah, that's the horror. You scan somebody and you see the entire world in front of you, and when you see 10 plus hostiles, you don't even know what to do. Honestly...
I don't know how I feel about this, but I think that Team Phoenix, they're feeling a little bit too crispy about it when it comes down to the aim, and a Kraber shot straight to the dome! Cribs! Your twin brother is gonna be the one to go in for that shot. Beautifully played from the side of Team 1 HP. They're gonna be able to deal a lot of damage. They're gonna be able to waste a lot of resources coming down from the side of Team Phoenix as well. So now, this is gonna put them in a little bit of crunch time. No doors remaining as well, so they cannot peek out of the windows properly without getting their domes absolutely shattered if they're not careful. So now, with 6 squads still remaining, the zone is gonna be present. 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and Team Phoenix, they're not letting off the gas pedal for even a second. Murdoch gets taken down to fatal levels of HP. He needs to shield himself back up there. They need to be careful. 1 at the bottom, 1 on the left side, 1 on the right side, 1 now converging inside of the extractor area. But
oh my
here,
god.
I don't know what to expect because the positions are so spread out. None of the teams are actually close to one another other than the side of Team Phoenix and Team 1 HP who know their exact positions. But everyone else, they're just all across the map. Arson B4 is literally under the extractor.
Hard stuck, literally stuck on the low ground, and everyone's just scanning each other and finding out where they are, but what will you do with that information?
Exactly.
You can't really engage with each other. There's a lot of dynamics going on in a situation like this.
Position as well.
And man, it really, I hope it doesn't boil down to a heal off. I mean, that's already the situation for the side of team popping off. I mean, they might just have to go into a heal off and they'll just be popping their medkits and whatnot, but 1 HP is on the rocks outside. Hardstuck is underneath. And there's just Bloodhound scans going out all over the place. And hey, maybe the Kraber will be able to do something nice over here. And at this point, This teams, they might just stop playing for position and they might just try to pick up as many kills as possible because there is no guarantee that you will be able to get the win in a very small circle like this.
Phoenix are
And
getting
this-
pushed.
Everyone's getting pushed everywhere. The teams who are getting pushed outside by the circle will be forced to relinquish the positions and get outside, and the teams inside of Harvester will be forced to relinquish their hideout and get downstairs. 1HP at least still have a little bit of rock cover for themselves, so maybe this facade can keep them alive for a little bit longer, safe from the prying eyes of their enemies. But unfortunately, there is no guarantee. 1 HP, there's literally no place left to run right now. If anyone has a Gibby shield right now, that team will have a massive advantage. And there's no cover for any of these teams. Go in, full send it in. 1 HP, trying their level best to keep themselves alive, and that's gonna be the end of one more. And it's just them right now. Last two squads. Who's gonna win this one? 1 HP have quite a lot of shield, and it's a 3 versus 2 situation, but they're falling like flies. Devil Connor able to do quite a lot of damage with the R301, and everyone's just retreating out of their Evas right now. It's just them going rat-a-tat-ta-ta, and 1 HP will still be able to win this. My goodness.
Clutched it at 1 HP.
Quite living up to their name now, isn't he?
Oh my god, Crips! Crips and Crisp! Both of them are absolutely incredible. What is happening here? Like
need a
this
moment.
guy has absolutely no words. What just happened here? An absolute mess of a show.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I need a moment. I think we're gonna have to take a look at the highlights once again in slow motion to figure out who went down when. And at this point, it's safe to say we have seen everything. We saw a mellow first game. Everything went at a decent pace. We saw a lot of teams die early on in the second game, and the final battle of the second game was just 3 squads staring at each other for the longest time and then deciding to send inside. And then there's games like this. 12 squads alive in the very last ring.
Yep.
There's nowhere left to run, nowhere left to hide, and then they fall like flies. The kill feed moves faster than lightning. And at that
and also
point,
you need to consider this circle was very horrible. Like this was the worst possible circle you could think of for a fight like this.
exactly, like I really don't know how these teams would have been able to, take decisions in a circle like this. I don't even know if they had the mindset to take decisions. They see these number of squads alive and they will automatically be mauling. And you saw how many Bloodhound scans were just going back and forth all over the place. But then the teams at the top, I think it was first Team Phoenix who started to fight the other team on the first floor. And once that was dealt with, they had to come downstairs. But then Team 1 HP, because they had those Krabers, they were able to deal a lot of suppressive fire and deal a lot of damage to their enemies, which kept them at bay. And that actually bought the space for 1 HP, which they desperately needed because there was no cover available, right? There was just one rock facade, and that also was negated when the ring pushed them out. So yeah, everyone's just forced into an open area. And at that point, it's a Hail Mary play. At that point, it's anyone's game.
I think that the smartest play coming on down through from the side of Team 1 HP was to give up that high ground. Initially, remember that both of the squads were actually holding towers. So let's head on down over on towards the side of the highlights as I talk a little bit more about the ending here. But before we do go into that ending, I'll highlight that later. But let's talk about the very start. Because every good story has to have a really good starting point, and I believe that 1 HP, they had the best start in comparison to any other team.
Let's just enjoy these few peaceful moments.
And then break everything down at the end.
Yeah, and then break everything down at the end. Maybe have a breakdown ourselves.
Yeah,
I
I
would
think
have
we already had a breakdown, dude.
I'm just so glad I'm on the other side of the screen right now. If I was in the server, I would have been so confused about what to do because it's really hard to take decisions in situations like these.
Yeah, these are high pressure scenarios that you don't really expect to happen. Yeah, you can take down 1 or 2 squads, 1 or 3 squads, it's completely fine. And then suddenly you look at the map and you're like, why are there 2 squads in this circle? Why is there a person behind me? And why is Shanks trying to go inside of my house and why is he trying to live in it? Well, while not even telling me and not even paying any rent.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the thoughts that go through the players, man.
Exactly. And, speaking of paying rent, popping off, put down their investment in the wrong spot. Their real estate came down crashing like a landslide. They were trapped over there, and then all that Northern Breeze could do was just go for a heal off. I'm actually excited to find out how many position points he was able to gain because these teams started to fall like flies, and then he must have gained like a couple of position points, right? I want to see exactly how much did he make over there by going for the heal off instead of going for the fights.
Consider the side of team popping off. I was telling you that their position is just not that strong. They should have rotated even earlier if they wanted to try and go in for this fight, and they paid the ultimate price for it. 1 HP right at the very end. They were just able to perform it so beautifully, constantly going in for pushes, constantly being able to go in for fights, and understanding that sometimes they need to do really give up the high ground. And now going back to the point that I was trying to make previously, just look at popping off though. Like, let's just have a little bit of a comical moment here. Shanks is like, "Oi, I want to live here, man. I'm not doing anything to you. Just let me go." But he's like, "No, you're covered. You're getting out of my house. This is my swamp, and you're not supposed to be in here."
This is my swamp. Attention, all fairy thing creatures. In the words of Shrek, there can only be one person living in the heated swamps, and that definitely isn't gonna be anyone other than Northern Breeze. But here's where the things start to get a little bit difficult. You see the teams up there. One of them is Team Phoenix. They're just basically fighting off anyone that they can at this point. And unfortunately, even after getting one squad wipe, even after getting a bunch of kills, they were not able to survive for too long. And they were eventually taken down by Watch This and Flexi. And then comes Flexi downstairs, right? So he's fighting another team underneath that little bridge thingy of sorts. And then once that battle is done, Team 1HP moves in to finish off everybody.
Yeah, it's just about cleanup duty at this point. Team 1HP knew the exact same positions, but at the same time, this cleanup duty was really difficult because consider what the Caustic was doing. The Caustic trap was causing so much damage that there was no way to push them and use the EVA to the fullest of their proficiencies. But right at the very end, look at it. It's going to be Crisp coming on down through clutch right at the get-go, and he was just like, at 1 HP, I'm going to be finishing everything off. I'm going to be changing up the dynamic, and I'm going to be the one to clutch everything out for a team. An absolute chaotic of a game here, ladies and gentlemen. But at the same time, Team 1 HP, with the better positioning and the better decision-making, were able to win this one out, primarily because of one reason. Remember, they were initially on the high ground, facing off and dueling against the side of Team Phoenix, but they actually gave up that high ground a lot more earlier than you actually expected. Why is that high ground being given up here? The main reason why is that normally when their circle is pushing up this close and this far in, staying on the high ground is a really bad thing. Normally, what do you normally do in a battle royale? High ground is always king. Anakin does not have the high ground, that's why he lost. But in this situation, if Obi-Wan actually didn't have the high ground, he would have actually won. And here is where the side of Team 1 HP, they made that smart decision. They gave up the high ground, understanding that the zone will push them out of the high ground position. And if they were jumping down, any team that was holding the high ground would be the ones to take them out. And this is the 1 HP that we were expecting to see in day number 1. And the fact that they're finally able to show up and show their proficiency when it comes down to positioning and map awareness is what we want to see moving on down forward as well. Team Phoenix, they got a little bit too complacent, thinking that, hey, we have the high ground, there's no way we lose here. But you are going to lose because the zone is going to be against you. An impossible situation caused them to take a lot of impossible decisions. And especially when there are this many squads present, if you don't have the best possible position, you don't try to fight your opposition to try and get that position for yourself. And if you try to just hold on to a position that you're comfortable in, you're going to die out. And here is where everything just fell apart for Phoenix. They had the best possible loot. They had everything on their arsenal. They were just not able to find it. So let's head on down over towards the standings here, ladies and gentlemen, for map number 3, because oh my god, my brain is hurting, but at the same time, the players, they're just going to keep on playing. 1 HP, they're going to be the ones to take this win on 12, 15, and 18. And Clutch Minister is on a 7 and 7 and 18. I think a little bit of a technical issue here when it came down to the statics, but it's completely fine. It's going to be 14, 9 and 4. It's going to be towards the side of X-Omen. Phoenix is going to be on 10. And honestly, like, when you consider the spread of the points, I think that all these teams, they perform beautifully. And I think it's not 18 even. It's actually 12 and 15, which is actually 27.
27. My goodness, 27
I
points?
thought it was like the spread was fine, but then I'm like, wait, that's not 18, that's actually 27. My brain is like, what?
Yeah, I mean, the math doesn't add up over here, but hey, we don't need the math. I mean, when you've got every team in single digits, and then one of the teams has double digits in both placement and kill points, you know that shit is real. You know that 1 HP have arrived, and they are here to dominate. This is what you did the math. 27 points in a single game. That is absolutely ridiculous. And 15 kills. They were able to wipe out 5 squads. That's just unbelievable, man.
Yeah, like This makes like absolutely zero sense. My brain is hurting, but at the same time, hey, Team 1 HP, they're hurting the other team's feelings as well. They're just gonna keep on going for those fights, and they're just the ones to take their hopes and dreams away in a matter of seconds, man. Like sides, they were like, hey, we just nearly took out the side of popping off. They let us go. We can heal ourselves back up to full and just, be ourselves. We can just chill for a little while. Then 1 HP are like, yo, I'm gonna knock on your door, open up, or I'm gonna bust the doors down and I'm gonna take you to jail. And that's exactly what they did because the doors were not open. And hey, they pay the price for it when their own live sides. They're not gonna be happy whatsoever. But when you consider what was happening throughout the entire game, we had a lot of hopes for sides to, perform in day number 2 because they had a really rough day on day number 1 and they were just not able to perform even in day number 2, not just yet. Like even on match number 3, they were trying to play it a little bit slower. They were trying to play it a little bit more tactically, but their positions are just not that potent. Yes, they were gatekeeping towards that one specific sideline to try and cut off any of the players that would be trying to go in for rotation, but they need to also go into a better position themselves as well. Because when you're trying to cut off rotations, you need to have a backup plan. Where do you want to head to next as soon as the rotation is not going to be working out for you? The fact that they had no form of backup plan and they were purely relying on a team to come on down over here, one singular team, by the way, not even a third party, they were not considering a third party whatsoever, caused them to just get a little bit too complacent and just die there outright. And consider the other teams, Team Hearts and D4, Wasabi, they had the positions, but they just did not use it properly. Like Hearts and D4 right at the very end, they were literally under the extractor, they were chilling
Yeah.
there, but you need to do something with that position. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, let's head on down over towards the overall standing. And Crips, I want your thoughts here because Team 1 HP, they're rising to the top slowly but surely.
Whoa. They overtake Stark Incarnate and Washed Apex Spots. They're on the verge of breaching the top 3 aggressive. This is massive. And you know how we said that there was a massive gap between the 3rd and the 4th ranked team? Yeah,
It's not that
that's
big
coming
anymore.
closer. Not happening anymore. These guys are what, like, I mean, do the math. Somewhere around 7 plus 6. Yeah,
13
13
points,
something points
14
away,
points,
14
14.
points away, which
Yes, quick
is
math,
a lot.
Crips said aggressive.
Thank God I'm not in school anymore. Thank God my line of work does not require me to be good at math. But hey, that difference is, coming lower and lower. Clutch Ministers and Phoenix still just engaged in a race, and popping off unfortunately fell quite a lot this game because they were stuck in that little S corridor and they had to go for the heal off. In fact, I wanted to see how popping off did in the heal off. I think they might have died outside of the top 6, but hey, I can't really blame them. They would have been negated by the zone a long time ago before we got to see that massive, disastrous harvester battle. So yeah, I really can't expect much of them. But games like these are kind of what make your brain melt. And this is just after we have reached the halfway point of the tournament. We still have a long way to go until we get to the last game. I don't even know what to expect anymore, honestly.
Yeah, this is the level of competition that we are facing here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to be a one-sided show. It's not going to be the top caliber teams of the qualifiers coming on down through and just dominating everything. Look at Clutch Ministers. They had such a rough time when it comes down to qualifiers 3. We thought that they had no business trying to be on that number 1, but look at where they are right now. Number 1, 97 points, 46 kill points, and 2 wins. These guys have gone through thick and thin to prove themselves to be one of the best here. Team Phoenix, Team Popping Off, and 1 HP, they're self-explanatory. They're Qualifier 1, Qualifier 2, and Qualifier 3 respective winners. So they're just going to be chilling. Stark Incarnate, Washed Apex Bots, and X Omen. These guys are making strides and they're rising up in the rankings so quickly that we are amazed by them. And on the other end, Heartstep D4, Unit X, Sides, and Three Punchers, the teams that we were expecting to rise up to the occasion and fill out the top 10 positions, they're not even there. Why exactly is that? Because now that the competition is a lot more higher, now that the stakes are higher than ever, and the prize money is on the line and not just qualification, things are going to be a lot more heated. Teams are going to dig down even deeper to pull off every bit of play that they can make. Their aim, their confidence, everything is going to need to go on down towards another level if they want to win out here. And if any of these teams, they want that prize money, if they're hungry for it, they need to step up right here and right now because right here is the halfway point. And at the halfway point, if the teams don't perform, they're not going to be able to do anything moving on down onto day number 3.
Exactly. And at this point, we're approaching the, the final few stages of the tournament. 2 games
Yep.
left for the day, and you want to end it on a good note. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Apex is a kind of momentum heavy game, and yeah, sure, while it's just the halfway point, you got to consider that we are also approaching the 66% mark over here now.
Mhm.
And if you might have had a bad day today, that's completely okay, but you need to be able to reset and come into the tournament fresh tomorrow. In fact, you need to be able to reset every game, especially after matches like these, it kind of makes your brain melt. And I don't blame any of these teams for losing out early in a sweaty situation like this,
Mhm.
because this is the kind of situation where even if you do all the right plays, even if you make no mistakes, you are not guaranteed the win. And
Yeah.
honestly, all of it is up in the air. So yeah, I mean, you said it correctly, right? The high ground, low ground just stops to matter at this point. And I'm glad that you pointed out the Anakin reference, because that fight also took place near a pool of lava.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
I actually forgot about that. I didn't want to make a reference according to that, but good.
yeah,
Good
I thought that's
algorithm.
why I thought that's exactly why you did it. But
I
yeah, at
always
this
make
point,
Anakin references when it comes to high ground versus low ground. Everyone
uh,
loves the pop culture references. So.
all right, all right, all right. The pop culture references are fine, but then at this point, the teams just basically ignored the high ground, low ground thing, and they just kept one thing in mind: stay away from the lava, stay away from the ring, and anything that hurts you. You can't really stay away from the bullets because they're just literally flying all over the place. But at
Mhm.
least the floor is lava simulator can be dealt with. You can still step on solid ground.
Mhm. I completely agree with you there. But staying away from things that hurt you, I don't think that's going to be very much possible because map number 4 is ready, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be heading on down over onto that map after a short word from our sponsors.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rise of Legion presented by Lenovo and Intel of the Apex Legends Tournament, as we are back once again for map number 4 of this intense matchup. And honestly, I'm pretty much hyped up for this just as much as you here, Cribs, because consider something. This entire day has been a roller coaster. It started off slow, it went in a little bit higher, it was a little bit of a thrill there, and then it took a nosedive. Really massive nosedive on map number 3, and I have no idea what map number 4 is going to be. Is it going to be mellow again before we go into the high, or is it going to be high? And then we're just going to get absolutely demolished at the very end, because it feels as though Zero on this hand with his rampage, he has something to say about it.
The guys are already starting to heat up right now. Team Wasabi, they've got their opponents in front of them. They've got the work cut out for each other. And they have the classic Revenant Octane combination. Unfortunately, they will never get to make use of this combination if they don't have their ultimates online. They're up against Team Sights, and they better hope that Sights don't swing their big, massive Scythe and just become the Grim Reapers. Unfortunately, this might just become a bit too hot for them to handle because the Octane's already been knocked out. And Peanut, you better hope you don't have any allergies because this is going to be a tough nut to swallow. Nobody can revive him at this point either. Team Sights, it is really coming out on top of them. And they're being surrounded in every direction right now. I think they might just be able to finish them off as well. Shots upon them from another direction. Is that even Team Wasabi anymore? Oh, yes, it is. You have Fizz, who took his sweet time trying to heal himself up with a Phoenix kit of sorts. And he was able to get away to the other side of the geyser buildings and get a flanking angle onto them. Unfortunately, he was only able to pop a couple of shots before Team Sights were able to reposition back to safety.
positions are just going to be good, but at the same time, Wasabi, they found out that personal player. They're just going to be going in for it, but the shots are just not going to be clean. The weapons are not that strong, not just yet. Punch him, my man. Kick him in the forehead. Kick him in the forehead one more time. Yep. But I guess hitting them in the forehead doesn't work all the time. Team sides are going to be able to take the Wasabi. And hey, they have full guys with control on their side. So, the way that's a silver lining, but at the same time, we got to see a boxing match. So, I'm
Well, team sides, Yatu Blaze took a punch to the face, but hey, at least he lives to fight another day. So that's gonna be the fight of Kaiser ending. And, you know, aggressive, we are blessed. Because the moment one fight ends, another one begins. And this time, we are in staging. For DXE, already closing the gap in between them and their opponents. And it seems like the Gibraltar's caught all by himself over here. Devil Stoner, he's able to get one knock, but where are the rest of his teammates?
I think they didn't load in probably because he just died out really early, and I don't think his entire squad died out that fast.
Yeah, Aviator. Yeah, there's the rest of his squads. They're a little late to the party,
okay.
but they arrive here nonetheless.
Hey, it's working out in their favor. Aviator Esports, they're going to be able to pick up their buddies. They're going to be able to get into a position where they can actually, you know, safely go in for this engagement. But at the same time, I don't think that IU is that safe. He needs to run on back, but they're going to get pushed from two different angles. And with this pincer coming on down for Aviator Esports, there's no way they're going to be surviving this. One by one, the side Wardog TXE should be the ones to take them out, but it said no. Aviator? How? Why? What? IU? Hello?
I mean, they're
Since
able
when?
to wipe out the squad of VorDXE, and this is great because both
On
these
a
teams are running
pincer?
really low on ammo.
They took them down on a pincer. What? And now, looking at the positioning here, like even Crips is speechless. That's why you can't really say anything here. But Unit X on towards the back end though, they're getting demolished by the side of 1 HP. Piece of the Hunt has been activated as well, and it's just time to run here, my boy. Unit X, they have nowhere to go and they have nowhere to hide. They're trying to survive. They're trying to maybe do something against the side of 1 HP, but their nemesis is, I don't think they're gonna be giving up any form of space whatsoever. Shots are gonna be clean. And the position is going to be beautiful. And Team 1 HP, they need to make that decision. Either go in for the dip play or just stay there and get riddled with bullets from the other end. Because Sonic Incarnate, they're going to be the ones to try and go in for this push. They're going to be the ones to try and keep everything down, but at the same time keep popping off. They're also coming on down towards the side of Skyhook. It's going to be a fight between the side of Team Phoenix 1 HP and Team Popping Off, but still 1 HP, they're not going to be able to survive for long because Zeox gets taken on down by the side of Proj, and Proj, he needs to be very careful here because he could just get surrounded by a lot of other teams if the side of Team Popping Off are not careful. I know for a fact this guy is incredible. I know for a fact he has insane aim and spray control when he has that R301 or even a flatline in his hand, but that won't save you all the time here. Playing it slow, playing it smart is the name of the game, and will he be able to do it here is the real question, considering the amount of squads that are just surrounding him here.
There is one thing I want to point out though. Have you seen that all these teams are going for the Bloodhound as the default scanner, and the usage of Seer has dropped off a cliff?
He's a lot more consistent, and after the nerfs, I think that Seer is not that highly contested for it. I think
Well-
Bloodhound has so much consistency.
Yeah, I think it's much about the consistency, plus the movement speed that you get when you're inside the piece of the hunt. It's just amazing. But it seems like after all that is said and done, 1 HP, they do lose their players, but Crips is on the verge of recovering the banner of his fallen teammate. Will Stark Incarnate let him get away with this thing? I don't think so. They're heavily chasing him, and they've found one of his other teammates.
Run, my boy. Run, my boy. Go, dead, my boy. Oh, that's Unitex. That's actually Unitex. Carno. Carno was the last person remaining from Unitex. He finally gets taken out.
There's Stark Incarnate, there's Unitex, there's Popping Off, and there's 1 HP. There's 4 squads inside Skyhook. That's amazing. A 4-way battle right at the start. That's exactly what I signed up for.
Yeah, this is the fight that we were kind of expecting to happen for a pretty long time, considering what to expect here. But also at the same time, Crips, 3 of the best teams in this entire tournament are all inside of Skyhook.
It's like a Clash of the Titans right off the bat.
Yep.
The fate of the entire day standings can be determined right here and now, but 1 HP is already out of the picture.
Yeah, they're going to be giving it all up, but I don't think that Sark and Karnat, they're going to be backing off anytime soon. Not just yet, because you know for a fact that this team, they like to hold their positions, and they're a little bit, they're kind of stubborn when it comes down to holding down their positions.
Well, I think that these teams will not disengage just yet, but they will just try to outmaneuver each other, get into a better position, and then start fighting. And that's why you can see Stark and Karnat have already scanned the next ring, so they will know what to do. But unfortunately, the next ring also lies somewhere upon Skyhook and a little bit of the area to the south of it. So they can't really outmaneuver, team popping off inside of Skyhook because the circle is just a bit too big at this point. And bro, if the final ring moves towards Skyhook, that will be so much more easier for the teams. Like, in Harvest, there's barely any places left to hide, right, for 12 squads. But an urban city like Skyhook can easily house 10 teams. And those teams can, have a decent bit of cover for each other. They don't, have to worry about being stuck in the open or being exposed from certain angles. Now they can keep themselves safe. But Aviator Esports are chasing 1 HP to the ends of the earth. And it seems like they've just hit a roadblock. 1 HP. They were running away from Aviator Esports, but they run into some completely different team. And this might just not be what they signed up for. Frenzy and Crips have already been taken down. And it seems like that's going to be the end of Team 1 HP. There were only 2 people remaining in the first place. But now let's see if Hardstuck will be able to fight against Team Aviator Esports.
Hardstuck, they're in a pretty precarious situation when you consider all of the other positions that they could get pushed from. And also, it's 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock. They need to think about going in for a possible rotation and getting themselves into a better spot to try and funnel themselves in towards that circle, because that circle is quite far, and if they get caught between a rock and a hard place trying to go in for this rotation with the team gatekeeping them, it could just end up in their deaths if they're not careful. So let's see how they plan to move it down forward. Or are they actually just gonna try to lean around the edge of the circle and move it in slowly with the circle itself? But that's quite a dangerous plan to make here.
That is a little dangerous, but not as dangerous as getting pushed inside Trials. This is a gauntlet of sorts, and there's no running away from the spot like this. Hardstuck is going up against Team Aviator Esports, and this is where the battleground is. All the teams know exactly what's happening, and a battle in Trials is loudly telegraphed. Hardstuck might just be able to win this as they have just managed to knock down Devil Stoner, and now it's a 2 versus 1 situation of sorts, and that is it. They shotgun him to that, and Renom is able to clutch out the battle for his team. Hardstuck, they not only finish off Team 1 HP, but they're also able to destroy Aviator Esports, bringing the overall number of teams to the server down to 11.
And now, oh no, what is happening here down towards the side of Skyhook? Inside of the building, it's gonna be the side of Clutch Ministers going in for that first initial engagement. They're gonna be able to take out John FPS at the bare minimum, but that's much all that they can do. They're trying to throw themselves back up close. So surely they're trying to make this position doable, but not just yet though. Here it comes.
Keep in mind that this is the area where Stark and Karnat and Popping Off were also present. And now 3 punches have also arrived in the neighborhood. This is turning into probably one of the most unfriendly neighborhoods that you could ever be in. Spider-Man would not approve of this. And now that they've got a knock, 3 punches, they feel like this is their opportunity to go in for the push. Dead Totem's out, but the moment they decide to go for the death protection, Destroyed gets knocked out himself, so that's gonna kind of ruin their plans for a bit. Plus, the fact that they don't have an Octane kind of ruins all that they have built up for themselves. By the time they're actually able to get to their opponents, they will have probably run out of that protection, but I think I was wrong. There is another team that they run into. They have their sights set on Stark and Garnet, but they run into Team Hardstuck. And hey, as long as the Death Totem doesn't get wasted, I think they will be fine. They will be happy with this.
Yep. They're gonna try and survive, and they're gonna try and maybe go in for this engagement, but at the same time, I don't think that's gonna be that smart the plan. Not just yet. They need to play their cards properly here, because Hearts at D4, they're in a very, very, very good position if they're able to hold down that building for as long as they possibly can. But still, Team Popping Off, they're even in a much more better spot. They're straight top of Skype. And they have the best possible avenue to take down every single one of these teams. They have all of the information in the entire world, and they can easily heal themselves back up by just chilling in a corner and just crouching. No one can shoot them.
All right, it seems like 6 out of the 11 squads are in the area. Stark Incarnate, popping off, 3 punchers, Hard Stuck. I believe that... No, wait, Hard Stuck is... Are they here yet? Yep, I think they are. So that's 4 squads over here. 2 more squads just approaching this area yet, but they're not inside. So this area is starting to become a little crowded over here. The real estate is going to be a little difficult to find. Hopping off on the central building of Skyhook. Probably one of the more difficult places to defend, considering how open it is and that they've got 3 zip lines. If you had a Caustic at this point, this would have been a very easy place to defend. But then they've got Team Phoenix. That's the 5th team in the vicinity. And then there's another squad, which is on the northern tunnel. We don't know who that is just yet, but we will find out soon enough. And looks like the final circle is going to be in Skyhook, boys.
Let's go here.
Look at how many squads there are.
Yeah, there's 11 squads, and that's the best part, Aggressive. If
Yeah,
11
Skyhook,
squads...
actually.
If 11 squads are inside of Harvester, this will be a very difficult fight. But 11 squads in Skyhook, this is very manageable.
Manageable, but at the same time, I think that the squads are actually going to live to go into a team off. That's the thing. That's why I don't really like
possible.
this.
Quite
but at
possible.
the same time, Clutch Ministers, they could just get pushed and we are not going to have to see 11 squads. We may just see only 10 squads.
You know, in situations like these, if you've got a Revenant on your team, it just makes things so much more easier for you.
Yes, become the Spider-Man. Save your neighborhood.
Exactly, become the Spider-Man. Because every building has like 3 areas of entry, right? You've got a zip line, you've got the balcony doors, and you've got the staircases. That's the 3 main areas of approach that any building has. Unless, of course, you're able to jump out your way to the roof. That's a completely different ball game. But with Revenant, you can climb up the rooftops and you can still be undetected. And at this point, Clutch Ministers, they have some uninvited guests. They're sharing the room, or the building rather, with another team. And Clutch Ministers have the roof, the other guys have the basement, and they're slowly starting to creep their way upstairs. Let's see which that team is. That's going to be Team Hardstuck. All right, then. Clutch
They're
Ministers,
right below
Hardstuck.
Clutch Ministers. This is
Exactly. Right underneath Clutch Ministers. And I think Team Hardstuck are aware that there is a team above them. They just don't know who it is. They don't know the names. We, being casters, can see which teams are fighting off against each other. But Hardstuck are also trying to instigate the team on the other side of that building. They're just hoping that if they throw enough utility on the other building, that particular team will be able to shoot the team on the roof. They're hoping that the other team shoots Clutch Ministers and makes their life easier.
This is just a freaking praying game, but Clutch Ministers is actually dipping. Oh no, they're dipping inside of the building, and thankfully there's no one inside of this building. If there was anyone here, yeah, we know for a fact that Clutch Ministers, they were dead. And I think that they took that decision without even knowing. I'm very sure they took that decision without knowing. This was a massive gamble, and if this pays off, Clutch Ministers, hey, more kudos to you.
Exactly. They must. The best that they can do is go for a Bloodhound scan, but at that range, I don't even know if the scan is effective. So yeah, it's a risky move. Plus, you can get shot out mid-air because there's so many teams over here. But take a look at where the next ring is. It's in the center building of Skyhook. It's at the literal Hook building. And guess, yeah, exactly. That building belongs to Popping Off. There's 3 more buildings that are still inside the circle that teams can take care of. X-Omen is inside one of them. Team Hardstuck is inside one of them. The 3rd building is still unclaimed. Team Phoenix has just taken the 3rd building the moment I say that. So X-Omen and Team Hardstuck, these guys have decent positions for themselves. Popping Off probably has the best of them all. But all the other teams, these guys are going to have to struggle to find real estate.
X-Omen, they know for a fact that there's only one squad holding it down right close to them. So at the same time, this could just work out in their favor. But watch this. Gets laser down straight to the window. White Dead's going to be able to take out Swishy on towards back end though. And Team Phoenix, they're in a pretty good spot. They know for a fact that one squad's right on the other side. They're trying to see if they can spy down one of those players. If they can spot them out, but Ultimate Noob, he just spot out one of the players at the bare minimum, spots out his head just a tiny little bit, goes in for a couple of pop shots to scare him. But at this point, it's better to just not use any of your resources. The longer you live and the longer you save all of your resources, the better you're gonna be, I would say.
Exactly. And you will need a lot of your resources. You know, in zones like this, the Caustic is the perfect character to have.
Yeah, that's
You can
true.
basically lock an entire team outside. and just fortify an area.
Oh no! What is this? I didn't even know this was an angle. What is this, the doctor?
It seems like you can delay the fights for as long as possible, but you will have to go for it when the zone pushes you inside. Clutch Minister is now trying to move in, and the other teams are trying to race them towards the central building. But while all of this is happening, Pop is basically taking up all the kills for themselves. They're just basically capitalizing on the advantage that they have with this position, and they're shooting every team that is trying to make their way inside. We've got Team Stock, Incarnate, and Clutch Ministers both racing inside the zone, but Clutch Ministers just surviving by the skin of their teeth. Only Flexi to carry the banner forwards. And now even the central building has been negated. There's a tiny bit of this building still available inside the next ring. All the other buildings have been negated too, which means Popping Off still has some cover, but the other teams won't have any cover soon.
Yeah, now Flixie, he's getting caught out as well. He's stuck between the rock and the hard place. He has nowhere to go. But at the same time, Team Popping Off, they're not in a pretty good position. You need to remember what happened last time around because they stayed in the high ground for way too long. Sorry, not Team Popping Off. It's actually the side of Team Phoenix, who stayed on the high ground for way too long and caused them to completely die out. Because when Circle is pushing, you need to take low ground control, not high ground control, because that is the place where you're going to be in the biggest of disadvantages trying to jump one down on towards your opposition. But here, let's see what we can expect. Team Phoenix, they have the better position as of right now. They're still going to be able to survive. And as we do get a drone shot view of this entire place, Flixie, I kind of feel bad for this man. Clutch Ministers, yeah, they're not going to be able to live for long. But at the same time, Suraj and his gang, they're making that push down towards the side of the middle building here. Skyhook, it's looking quite an interesting position. X-Omen on the left, on the right is going to be the side of Team Phoenix. On the back end is going to be Yatu Play and his squad. Popping Off holding from the top end, and they're just raining down hell all over the place. A lot of resources are being invested though here to try and win out on these poke battles. And yes, these poke battles are very much crucial and very much important, but you need to keep in mind you're using a lot of resources here, and will you have enough to go in for the fight right at the very end? Because you're not going to have a lot of chance to go in for loot. And Team Phoenix, they're right above Clutch Minister. Sorry, not Clutch Minister, right above the side of X-Omen. And
Alright.
if X-Omen want to go in for this push, maybe they could just take down this entire squad.
Yeah, but X-Omen don't have any way to get up to the roof. In fact, I don't think they should even try to go for the roof. All these teams are going to be forced to go into the ring. And I don't know if this little box that these guys are hiding inside will be enough.
Yeah, that's the thing. They should have gone for a push. They're going to take so much damage trying to get out of this.
Yeah, they will have to tank a lot of the ring damage, so they will just have to survive on their shields. And blue shields are not enough in a situation like this. They're going to lose like half of their HP to the ring just to get outside this building. Team Phoenix on top, Team X-Omen below them.
Oh no!
And at the same time, there's one more team on the team. Yeah, there's 3 teams in the same building. And all of them on different
like
floors.
Industrial age, like it feels like this is the industrial age. Like, you know, in the industrial age in history classes, we used to learn that there were a lot of families just clumped up in one building. This is what it feels like.
Oh my god. And guess what? Who has the biggest advantage? It's Team Popping Off. They have a buffet in front of them. They can shoot anyone and everyone at this point. And while all of this is happening, there is just Glordessa hanging out at the bottom of that building. The central building, I mean. Team X-Omen decided they can't stay here any longer, and they decided to go in for the push below them. And here it is! X-Omen, they need to survive this one. They're up against 3 punchers right now, and this is the battle for the ground floor. And once the battle for the ground floor ends, they're gonna have to survive the ring and get outside where Team Popping Off can start taking shots at them. Not to forget the Team Phoenix is just above them.
Yeah, they just use defensive bombardment to try and slow down their opposition to make them as slow as possible so they cannot run away from this. But with the zone closing on down in, you don't have a lot of chances. The entry punches get taken down on towards the back, and sides are still going to be alive. They're still going to be able to hold it down strongly. Chica's going to be the new kill leader with 4 kills, holding it down strong. Proj is in a pretty bad situation of his own. He pushed in a little bit too far. Maybe things are just going to go horribly wrong for him. But at the same time, Goofy and his gang gets taken out as well. Sides, they're coming in down strong, and they're coming in hot. They're going to be able to loot themselves back out to full. Just a little bit Popping Off there, also in a pretty bad situation. Proj is trying to survive here. He's trying to go in for a couple of wingman shots, but he's just not going to be able to find his sides on the back end. He's still going to be able to live through it. Proj sides, now they're going to be going in for this fight. Who's going to be winning out here? Swings are going to be coming in left. The race is going to be coming on down through with the alternator. But the Prowler's just going to be way too good. I mean, the Bolt, sorry. It's going to be way too strong here. Shots are going to be going in beautifully, and it's going to decide the Stark and Carnet being able to take everyone down, and it's going to be a 1 versus 2 situation. It's going to be Proj versus the entire world, but Stark and Carnet, they have all of the advantages. That you get taken off. There is nothing that they can do here. Proj is not gonna let through this. Stark and Carnage, they're gonna be your champions once again, ladies and gentlemen. And they're gonna be the ones to take down their opposition. 8 squads remaining on this tiny ass circle, and it all really boiled down to the fights that they did until the very end. Stark and Carnage, beautiful plays coming on down from them, understanding when to go in for the push, but at the same time here, Chris, I didn't even see Stark and Carnage anywhere. I thought that they were dead. I thought that they were like chilling in the back end of spawn somewhere. They were just waiting for the next game to start. But Stark and Carnage, they come out of absolutely nowhere. They were not in a building where any of the other teams were. They were just holding down their positions. And now they just suddenly pop out of nowhere and take out all of the squads. What just happened?
They were right underneath Team Popping Off. So you saw in that one building, we had this little industrial age going on. 3 Punchers, Team Phoenix, Team... who else was this? I literally keep forgetting. X-Omen. Yeah, there's just so many teams. I keep on forgetting the names. Yeah, all these teams just clumped up inside that one building. We had Team Popping Off, who objectively, on paper, had the highest advantage because they had the central hook building for themselves and the top of it as well. But then eventually they were forced to relinquish that building too, because that building is very open and you can get shot from anywhere, right? And there's like 3 zip lines leading up. If 3 people take those 3 zip lines, you're basically going to be shut down like a ring. So yeah, I think that's what happened, and that's why Team Popping Off were forced to come downstairs, and Stark and Connor were directly underneath them. So they had the cover of the building as well, and at the same time, they had a decent position from where they could keep themselves safe from the ring. That's why they were able to survive a lot more, I guess. But here's the one thing I liked about Brudge. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to clutch out that 1v2. So what he did was just finish off that one player who was down so that he can at least get that 1 extra kill point for himself. He knows he's going to be going down. He can't win the fight, so he might as well just take the points that he can get and be happy with that.
Proj is one of those players that are very experienced for that very much reason. But hey, we need to experience this entire game one more time. So let's head on down over on towards the match highlights to try and break everything down. And just as you stated here, Crips, I would say that, yeah, just because this was Skyhook, it was just a little bit more digestible for us. But at the same time, it was a lot of utter chaos. In a way, we kind of understood what was happening, who was getting traded, who were taking the fights, because the buildings, yeah, it's very much controlled. But at the same time here, let's just talk about the fight that happened right at the very beginning. Sides, they had a little bit of a fun time, I would say. A couple of fisticuff battles, a couple of punches to the face. Like, you know, a high school brawl, pretty much. You just punch each other in the face, and then the teacher comes in and slaps you. That's kind of what happened to Wasabi.
Yeah,
they were sent back to detention.
Yeah, this time the teacher had a gun, so you don't just go down to detention, you go down to the morgue.
Oh, yes. A truly morbid gameplay, for sure.
Well, I mean, it was all hunky-dory in the first few minutes of the game, right? It was Aviator versus, I believe, Word EXE.
Yes.
And for a second, I thought Word EXE will be able to win this one, but then they ran out of bullets, unfortunately, and Aviator Esports still had, like, so much more ammo left to spare. I believe we would have been able to see a bunch of punch battles once more if they were close enough, but nah. And then after that, we saw this battle start to heat up. Stark Incarnate versus 1 HP versus Popping Off. Early battles inside of Skyhook. 1 HP tried to disengage from this area. They were able to get out to some extent, but then Stark Incarnate and Popping Off, those 2 teams were present in Skyhook right from the beginning, and they established a decent foothold in that area.
Yeah, they were able to do so beautifully, but right at the very end, it was the sad part that before trying to go in for that, so spotted out the players, and look at these crisp, clean shots from the side of the team. Man, honestly, there are 2 players that always astound me when it comes down to their raw mechanical aim. It has to be Reno and Doctor. Proj is incredible, yeah, but these guys, they are just on another level when it comes down to their track.
I swear to God, the individual skill matters so much in moments like these.
Oh yeah, also Nuke. Don't forget his R99 spray.
Yeah, even that. I mean, individual skills do matter quite a lot in situations like this because you can't really rely on good strategic plays because anything could be a mistake. You have barely any information. In fact, you have so much information with that one scan. You're going to be able to see 10 players at the same time, and then you're going to have to make some really difficult decisions. Like Team X-Omen, they decided to move in towards that bottom floor. They fought it out against Team 3 Punchers and they lost that battle. Team Sides, they came in from a different building while they were battling against Team Stark, Incarnate, and Popping Off at the same time. And Popping Off actually lost most of their players, leaving only X-Proj all to himself. Team Phoenix from the other side, they dropped down later on and finished off the remaining members of Team Three Punchers. And unfortunately, after finishing those guys off, they tried to battle against Team Stark and Garnet as well, but they fell down. And then, take a look at this Brudge guy. He's just trying to, confirm the kills and get that extra 1 point in his bag because he knows he can't clutch out that 1v2 fight. But Stark and Garnet, they were hiding directly underneath that main Skyhook building. And sometimes I think they might have just gone up to the first floor as well just to give themselves a little bit of cover. But yeah, really beautiful show of skill over there by the side of Stark and Garnet. And I mean, it was kind of expected, right? Because Popping Off and Stark and Garnet had been present in Skyhook from the longest time, and they were just scanning the ring again and again and again after every circle popped so that they could have a better position.
Yeah, it just was a showing of skill that we didn't really. We were not even ready for it. Stark Incarnate was one of those teams that we kind of just wrote off being like, hey, maybe they're going to be the ones to get on down towards that end circle because they didn't really have the best of starts. We didn't really see them perform a lot moving on down the line right at the get go. But right at the very end, they were just those dark horses that you don't really expect. Being right under the side of Popping Off, they waited for the exact moment that the fight started and they were just chipping off players left, right, and center. They just waited. They just waited to see which teams they can slowly but methodically pick off, get those kill points for themselves, and then get them the in total placement points. Because you do need to remember, it doesn't matter if you get like 20 kill points, if you get like only two placement points. Yes, you have 22, but let's say another team who got more than 10 points and they have the 12 placement points there, they're already reaching you there in the long run. So moving on down the line, you need to try and find a fine balance between these two. So let's head on down over to the match standings and see which teams have performed the best when it comes down to kill points as well as the placement points. And it's actually going to be the side of Stark Incarnate. Smart plays coming on down from them, 12 and 8. They performed it beautifully. 20 total kill points. Team Popping Off with 9 and 7 on the 16. Sides with the 7 and 9 on the 16 as well. Hearts of D4 on the 4 and 7 on 11. And sadly, 3 punchers, Clutch Ministers, Aviators, Phoenix, X Omen, Mod, Skyhawks, 1 HP, and Unit X. Yeah, these guys, they died off way too early and way too
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the kill points, all of them are more or less on the same level. Stuck and Garnet, Popping Off Sights and Hot Stuck, 7, 8, 9 points respectively. So that's fair. I mean, all the teams who were alive up until the end, they were just feeding off of the teams who were not able to get decent positions for themselves. 3 punchers have 3 kills simply because they were able to wipe out the squad of X Omen. But other than that, all the other teams were just feeding on teams like Washed Apex Boss, Play Like Pros, Unit X, 1 HP, and whatnot, because they were the ones who could not establish a foothold inside of Skyhook. And yeah, there were a lot of teams alive in the last circle, but this was a lot more digestible, like you said, more digestible than that Harvester game, because Skyhook simply has a lot more cover. It has a lot more individual buildings that you can hold.
like the teams, they were able to take the fights at their own pace. They were not really forced into positions that they couldn't have really controlled. Because consider something, X-Omen, they just got a little bit too complacent in the building that they were holding, and they paid the ultimate price for it. I was constantly saying, X-Omen, they need to maybe go on for a push on towards the roof, or they just need to leave the building entirely. They did neither, and when they tried to make it out, it was already too little, too late. 3 punchers, they had the building in their favor, but it's completely fine. Let's head on down over to the overall standings to see exactly where all these teams are going to be holding up on to try and go down over onto this 5th map to try and make a change. And Clutch Ministers, goddamn, they're going to be on 103, popping off on 102, literally 1 point off of each other. Phoenix coming on down through strongly with 95, Stark Incarnate on 85, and Team 1 HP have such a rough game heading on down over onto 75. Watched Apex lost as well. Very rough game for them. 60, Hearthstone D4 with the 59, slowly but surely climbing out. X-Omen with the 57, Sides with the 40, slowly but surely rising up though. So when you consider the top 10 here, Crips, I feel as though the gap is widening way too quickly. And if the side of Team 1 HP, Washed Apex, Walter Hearthstone D4 don't step up right here and right now, they have no way of trying to get themselves into that top 3 or top 4 position if they're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last game of the day remaining. We are done with the 4 games. 5th one still stands. And you can't let the other teams get away with too much of a buffer. Like a 40-point buffer is just way too much. You're going to have 4 bad games in a row. I'm sorry, the other team is going to have 4 bad games in a row, and you will need to be popping off every game in order to catch up to them. And I don't think Clutch Ministers and Popping Off I don't think these guys are going to be having bad games anytime soon. I mean, Stark and Gunner was able to get back up to fourth spot. They were behind 1 HP and Washed Apex spots behind this, but it's not that big of a jump, but it's still close. And now you can see that between the top two teams, there's only 1 point of difference, but between 3, 4, and 5, there are 10-point differences between each.
Yeah, when you consider all the point differences coming on down through, I don't know, man. Things could just change in a matter of seconds. I have a bad feeling about this that Clutch Ministers are going to die out right as soon as they drop here on map number 5. And I'm really hoping that my caster's curse starts to act and the exact opposite happens, but at the same time, you never know. Because my caster's curse is probably one of the strongest ones, other than Assassin, of course.
Hey, I mean, if we speak about curses and blessings, we might just be heading down the path of Harry Potter once again.
Okay, we are not
But-
going back down there. Just
Yeah,
wait
we're
a
not-
second. After
we're
the
not
voting
doing that
Cardinal
again.
thing and our producer, I do not want to go.
Okay, we can stay away from that. We can stay away from that. We can probably, build up something else, like I don't know, a real estate tycoon game. You remember that game? It's like a old 2000s game. There were a bunch of games like these. There was a zoo tycoon, real estate tycoon, roller coaster tycoon, and it's the SimCity kind of games like this. And yeah, I think the real estate tycoon over here is a very relevant thing because both in Harvester and in Skyhook, the places where you were, presented to hide were either very cramped or you had a bunch of very noisy and ugly neighbors. So yeah, the whole real estate thing kind of really comes into picture over here. But Skyhook was a lot more manageable. So yeah, I think this was a very interesting game. And I love the way how Stark and Garnet started to rotate around when the other three teams started to fight. Like, yeah, at some point they were under the building which popping off was there in, but then they were not there forever. They were just moving around constantly and trying to avoid danger. And that is, I think, the best part about them.
Yeah, I really did love that. Stark and Karnet, they play it slow, they played it smart, and they understand that if they do play it slow and smart, they're actually going to be able to head on down over to that number 1 position. And they're very close here. 95 points is nothing to scoff at. They can easily just take that edge off and they can push themselves up forward. If the Sato team popping off and Clutch Ministers are just going to drop down below when it comes down to the usual standing marks and the usual points that they're normally gaining. And that's very much possible because now team popping off, they're going to be feeling the crunch time and they want to try and end of the day in style by trying to get that number 1 position. So they're going to be a lot more greedier and they possibly are going to be a lot more reckless, or they could be a lot more methodical, trying to go in for the number 1 spot. And so will the side of Clutch Ministers. So in a way, someone needs to get reckless. Someone will get reckless here when they feel the greed to get to that number 1 to try to end day number 2 on a good note. Who's going to be winning it out is going to be the real question. And now the game is going to be ready, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be heading on down over onto that after a short word from our sponsors. We'll see you in a little bit.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rise of Legion, presented by Lenovo, and down to the last and final map of the day as we drop over here on the Skyhook for the last time, for today at least, before we go head on down over onto day 3 tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss that, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and also hit the notification bell to get notified as soon as we do go live with our Apex Legends content. Don't forget, we have a lot of interesting games in plan and also a lot of future tournaments moving on down the line. So make sure to follow our socials as well and also support our sponsors because if you want to see all of these games keep on coming down to your doorsteps and a lot more tournaments that you can participate in back at home, remember, we got you covered if you do support our sponsors and support us by hitting that like and hitting that subscribe. But for now, let's head on down over onto this match in particular. considering what is happening now and how reckless the teams can become, because now is the last match and they want to try and go in for a lot of those kill points. What can we expect here coming on down through from a lot of these rosters? Are they going to play it slow? Are they going to play it fast? It all really does depend on this first initial fight. And with the sonar now detecting them, Team Moth, they could be the first initial team to go in for a fight, don't you think so?
First battles are always the best ones. You know why? Because the chances of getting third partied are really less, especially in, you know, a place like Tree. I mean, consider
remote.
this. Yeah, I mean, Phoenix and Moth have been facing off in this very location since the beginning of the day. And the only person who occasionally comes into third party to them is probably Wasabi at max. But they don't always show up, right? There's no guarantee. And this time even Team Phoenix are not too keen on fighting because they're like, this is just a bit too much effort. I don't want to risk losing players right at the start. So yeah, they get away from this area.
They just want to chill for a little bit and they don't really want to worry about a lot of the stuff that could really happen to them. Just moving on down the line, let's just see what we can expect here. Unit X, though, they're going to be able to loot up to a really good position. All of them have purple armor, so that first initial engagement for them is going to be a very crucial one, because if they're able to get that red and get the momentum rolling in their favor, they could be the ones to win everything out. But not to jinx them or anything, but Unit X, they're literally having a really, really rough game. They're not really able to perform to the best of their abilities in day number 1 and also in day number 2.
Well, as of now, we've only seen, like,
I could use that.
just teams roaming around. We haven't seen any early game battles just yet, right? So, it's peaceful days for now. Now, we've got Unit X just on the border
Like
of
in
Lava
Dragon Ball
Fish.
Z, peace never lasts.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy. Peace never lasts, and that might just be true. Because
Yeah, like, consider Dragon Ball Z, man. They had peace for like a year and then suddenly another villain shows up. That's kind of what happens here in Apex as well. You're just vibing, you're just chilling with your buddies, just walking around, trying to pick up some guns, and then suddenly Team Phoenix come here and slap you in the forehead with a Kramer shot.
well, at least in Dragon Ball Z, they get like a year off, right? They get a year of peace. Here, you can't even have a minute.
Yeah, here we
your
go.
team
Here
mod.
we go.
If you're Team Moth, you can't even have a second.
Yep, they're gonna go in for that fight, and they're actually gonna be able to crack one of the players. This crack is gonna be a very crucial one indeed, because early game cracks, why are they so crucial? Because the damage that you're able to do to them adds to your own armor. So these evil shields, as soon as they become stronger, it's gonna get a lot more better. But at the same time, maybe in Esports, they're going in for their own fight. Look at the swings, look at the jump pads, look at the fight. They're gonna go in for it, baby. I think that's not gonna be solved, not just yet, but they're gonna get put to a halt on by another one of the third parties. The third party's like, yup, oh, I'm gone. But at the same time, Abizone, I think that he went a little bit too deep on his own court.
I don't understand. Like, Aviator Esports backed off in the middle of all of this. And, like, they were fighting against Team Word EXE. Aviator versus Word EXE is also one of those battles that has been happening for a long time, but then Stark and Carnage are also trying to third party in on this battle. So, this is just a really, really weird battle. And Aviator Esports just took a U-turn mid-air. And I can see why they might have done this.
They're like, nope, Stark and Karev, we're not gonna fight this. Abisode's like, yo, boys, where are you going, boys? Why are you leaving me like this? But yeah, the boys just decided to leave him alone. They're gonna be the ones to die out, and now it's gonna be Clutch Minister's turn to try and get a little bit of the action on their own accord. It's gonna be able to take down one of the players, and it's gonna be Fleeksy taking a little bit of a back seat here, and it's gonna be Wasabi being able to take down possibly the side of Clutch Ministers, and if Clutch Minister goes down here, that's gonna hurt a lot. And ladies and gentlemen, it's done. It's over. And it's Team Phoenix actually gonna be able to take out on the side of Wasabi, but at the same time here, because damage is already done. The fact that Clutch Ministers are dead, they're no longer gonna be able to contest their number 1 position.
Exactly. And that's the thing with all these top teams. You may or may not be able to have good games every time, but you just need to make sure you don't have a bad game where you get eliminated right off the bat. And now Team Wasabi might have been very proud that they took down the lobby leaders, but Team Phoenix is even happier because now Team Phoenix was one of the teams who can actually make a comeback onto the number 1 spot. And with Stock and Connect out of the way, they can cover that gap. They will be tanking Team Wasabi quite a lot today.
That's for sure, considering how the movement is going and considering how the positions are holding up today. It could be one of those things that could just work out in their favor. But Team 1 HP, they're going in for a little bit of an aggressive play of their own. So let's just see how they're going to be playing cards. Are they going to be going in for the same exact pushes, or are they going to be playing it slow systematically as they did over on towards the side of map number 3? Because 1 HP, they know for a fact one of the squads are up top. They're going in for a couple of pop shots. They're going to be able to crack out one play, and this first initial crack is where the push or the slowdown is going to happen. Pick your poison here, 1 HP. Do you want to go in for this push and possibly get third party, or do you just want to go down over onto a better position and just not go in for this fight whatsoever?
I mean, if a third party does happen inside of this tunnel, then you can at least walk away from the other side. But if you get pinched from both the directions, then you're basically dead. It seems like 1 HP they have chosen their poison. The bubble comes out. Their Octane will go back up at full HP, and at this point, just utilities are being exchanged. Thermite grenades and frag grenades all over the place, but he accidentally throws the frag grenade inside his own bubble, which forces him to go towards the other side. This battle has been going on for a bit too long, and that's what I don't like. You see, battles are fine, but if the battle drags on for more than 30 seconds, that's when you start to invite third parties, and 1 HP decide that, nah, this is just not worth it. They're gonna get out of this place.
Yeah, it's just time to run. You don't want to stay here for way too long. Because if you try to stay here and stagnate, you could just be in a pretty bad position. And Team 1 HP, they understand that the circle is coming. It's time for them to go. It's time to leave the squad alone and maybe just try and pick them off as they're trying to rotate into the circle themselves. Defensive bombardment in the hand of Seahawk. He's thinking about it, but he's like, nah, I'm not going to waste it on them. Not just yet. I'm just going to hold down my sidelines and I'm just going to try and survive. And it's going to be 1 HP slowly but surely being able to whittle down their opposition. And this is really smart. They're going to be healed themselves up back to full. And consider this is just the first circle. They're not really going to have to worry about it that much. Defensive bombardment is going to be coming on down through. And he actually delayed the defensive bombardment to wait until the Gibraltar shield goes on down. They're not going to be able to hold down that position. Trips actually is going to be in a pretty good spot to maybe go in for a couple of kills of his own if they do spot out the players. They still spot them out near the iceberg. But the cover is just a little bit too much. Cut the losses here, 1 HP. You guys need to go. You're staying in this circle for way too long, and this is too dangerous.
Exactly.
If you mess up here, it's all over.
So 1 HP were basically trying to gatekeep Word EXE as Word EXE was trying to get out of that tunnel. But now that they're out of the tunnel, they can't really gatekeep them. Like, there's plenty of escape avenues. So I think what they were trying to do has already failed, and Word EXE has already leaked past them. And now it's not just Word EXE that they need to worry about. There's other teams who might just be looking to come in over here. 3 punchers, we already saw that they were very close to Epicenter a long time ago, but they were just waiting for the perfect timing. And now it seems like the time is right. Word EXE has exited the avenue, and 3 punchers can have 1 HP all to themselves.
Yeah, at this stage, like, what can you really do here, Crooks? Because they're pushing, they're going in for the fights, and they're just
Unit X?
dying out so early. But Unit X on towards the back end, they're going in for a couple of their own pop shots, trying to take out the side of Pony popping off, but I think they've tried to bite off a bit more than they can do here. With that, I think that's going to be done and dusted for the side of Unit X.
I don't know why Unit X decided to go into this out of all people. Like, Word EXE were the ones who started this fight. They were getting out of it. Every team wants to find a way outside, but Unit X wanted to find a way in. And they might just have bitten off a bit more than they can chew. At least they will be able to revive their teammates because, hey, I think I might have just said that a bit too soon because now they've found out. And 1 HP, they make their way towards Fragment. Unit X stuck on the border wall. They can't move inside. 1 HP are now trying to find where Team Word EXE went, but it seems like they'll find someone else instead, and they'll be happy with the points that they are being given. Stark and Carnet, while all of this is going on, they were just waiting inside a Fragment. They never participated in the battle just yet, but now that the battle is coming towards them, they will not hesitate getting a piece of it.
And now they're just trying to hold down their force. They're trying to hold down their positions to say the very least. But how will they actually try to go in for this fight? Because Stark and Karna, they don't have one of their members, so they're not in a pretty good spot to even try to close this one out. The Turtles are going to be coming on down, so trying to deter their opposition just a tiny little bit as they're trying to hold on to the fort here. But if they decide to go in for the push, 3 punchers can easily take down Stark and Karna, but they don't know that Stark and Karna is on their boat. So they don't know that it's actually only 2 players, so they're really scared. They're just gonna fight for a little while.
Yeah, but since they have the death protection, they might just be brave enough to move inside. And the fact that they've silenced the Wraith, which means there's no escape card available for them. No get out of jail free card for the side of Stark Incarnate. And while all of this is happening, take a look at where 1 HP is. They're deeper inside Fragment, which means they are very safe from all of this. Unit X, on the other hand, they're on the roof of the opposite building, looking to find an angle onto these two teams fighting inside.
Yeah, they're just now chilling and they're just now trying to maybe go on down over towards the other sideline, but at the same time, Unit X, I don't think they're going to survive for long. Maybe Chappie's going to be able to get a couple of placement points, but how many placement points can he even say it's worth it? There's not many kill points, not many placement points here. They're in the dark pretty much when you consider the overall hierarchy of the point system.
Could be. A lot of these teams might just be getting eliminated right here because take a look at where the ring is. It's taking them very far away from Fragment. And by this time, the gatekeep
inside of
systems-
the zone.
Yeah, the entirety of the zone, they're gonna have to tank the bullet damage from their opponents, and there's like multiple opponents in
Oh,
the
that
vicinity,
zone
right?
hurts
There's
now.
1 HP, there's Unit X, there's 3 punchers, and this is the 3rd ring. It's gonna hurt a lot. And there's still quite a lot of distance to cover. They need to cross this lava bridge, which basically is a massive choke point. Any team on the other side of it will be able to stop you. And you've already got Dark Knight's team present over here. You also have, I do believe, Verdi XC present. I don't even know if Verdi XC is present anymore. I don't see them anywhere on the map, but they're certainly not eliminated just yet. So they might still be very much on the menu.
One person.
Oh, 1 person. Yeah, so see, that's difficult. And take a look at the very far end of the map, where there's Unit X all the way towards the bottom of Skyhook, still outside.
This is dangerous. Oh, no.
I think Unit X just managed to revive 2 of their teammates. Like, the dropship came in, so yeah, that's gonna be the, delivery of 2 people. Nope, it's just 1 person.
Yeah,
It's just Rebellion. And the moment Rebellion got his boots on the ground, he was sent back up.
Yeah, he just went back to the heavens. He had to be this maker one more time. Because, he needed to work out the kinks. Like, he was just not perfect, not just yet. And he was like, sending it back to the factory, man. There's a defect on this model.
Uh-oh, Chappie just got silenced, which means no more defensive bombardment or bubble available for him. Run, Chappie, run. There's no safe haven for you over here. And he's getting shot by another team.
Where does he run to? Poor Chappie, man. Like, this guy tried his hardest, but there is no way he could have tried and gotten out of that situation. 3 punches on one side, and I do believe the side of 1 HP on the other. They were just burning him down piece by piece from different side points. And now, once again, the sprite of Fragment is one of the things that are quite questionable, but at the same time highly contested for at the same time. So where are they going to go from here? 3 punchers, they're in pretty good position. They could just take out the side of 1 HP as well. They have spotted them out as they're trying to make a run for it on towards the side of the zone. It's just about a fast rush. Go in for this rotation, get into a better spot, and just keep the ball rolling. Don't stop for even a second.
And one team that recognizes this advantage is Play Like Pros. They were present inside Fragment East, and they were just, one of the teams who could have potentially gate-kept both Unit X, 3 punchers, and 1 HP, but they decided to run off into the distance first. So I think team Play Like Pros might just be able to get into a good position to keep them all. Meanwhile, once again, team popping off, going for a central position.
The push is coming on down through. They're just gonna go in for the bold SMGs. Deal a little bit amount of damage, but look at the defensive bombardment. Oh my god, that just absolutely demolished one of the squads. And Word.exe, they're finally back up to full. One of their members did survive. They're gonna be able to pick everyone back up, and hey, they're back in the running one more time. And even though the defensive bombardment kind of just demolished their hopes and dreams, they're still gonna be able to survive and be, the survivors of the bomb at the day.
Yeah, so Word.exe was basically making the life of Play Like Pros very, very difficult. Stark and Kana were just going for a little bit of scout play. What? Are you actually serious right now? Play Like Pros, they lost Mr. Freak to Word.exe, but 1 HP and Dark Knight, they were able to finish off Sky's chicken flip. So they lost one of their players to Word.exe, but they end up exacting revenge by killing off Team Sights instead.
Not again.
Yeah, this is the sponge battles again, all over the place, right? This boxing ring.
No, not that.
Oh, what?
Look on the top right.
At the top right, 11 squads in the 4th circles. Oh my god, this is PTSD all over again.
This is a really bad spot.
And this time you're neither in Harvester nor in Skyhook. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're in the massive rotation cluster. The cluster of mountains in which most of the teams have to pass by if they want to go in towards Lava Siphon. But this area is good for rotations, but very bad for a final zone to be in.
Yeah, it's about whoever has the high ground and whichever team is gonna give up the high ground when the zone is trying to inch down closer. Team Mod though, they're slowly but surely able to get a couple of kills for themselves, get themselves into a better position, but at the same time they're not in a good position as well because Team Mod, I guess they're gonna be able to survive this, but look at the spots, man. Look at how many teams are just spread across. There are a couple of teams trying to go down through the choke, but that choke is highly contested for. There are 4 squads watching this choke. 1 HP is on literally the left side of Team Popping Off. Down towards their back is the side of Team Mod. 1 is holding down from the very bottom. I have no idea what teams are going to be coming on down to, and everyone who's rotating, they're just dead. Just roll over and die at this point.
Well, that does seem like that's something that's gonna happen. I don't know how they will survive all this. At least they managed to punch a portal down, so they can keep shuttling back and forth. They can go back when the things get sweaty. They can come back down when the circle enables them to. But 1 HP don't want to tolerate any of these shenanigans. They're trying to boil those players out by throwing all sorts of utility at them.
And slowly but surely they're making that play happen, and even though they're still stuck down here in a 2 versus X situation, they're still able to try and, you know, keep the ball rolling in their side. But at the same time, with 9 squads remaining and the circle closing on down in, I'm gonna give it like about 30 seconds for the server to halfway die out, and then we have only 3 squads, and then Trips is like, I have no idea what's happening, time to head on down over the match.
Oh my god. 1 HP and a lot of pressure right now. They can probably win the game because the circle just moved towards them, and this compound is still in the ring, which means if they're able to defend this area well, they might just be able to win. But unfortunately, they're running low on ammo, and there's too many teams around them. If they're not able to defend this, then this advantage will go to waste. But that Arcstar cracks, and that's their cue to move right in. Roll in, boys. We are going in for the full send, and that's 1 HP wanting to eliminate Besharam and Destroy it right there. But hold on. Did Prodigy actually just steal that kill? Oh, never mind. That was a completely different battle. But as soon as 1 HP leave their house, as soon as Crips is able to get out of there, his teammate Zeon is in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, they made that push happen, and the fact that this occurred right here and right now. Oh my god, the mobile respawn beacon is on hand. Are we gonna see Frenzy coming up back through? Are they actually gonna do this?
The mobile respawn beacon, they find that, which is great. They can actually get their teammate back online. But what's even better is that they found a goddamn alternator. Oh my god, with the disruptor round, that thing shreds. And they might just get to use it against Team Moth. And the best part is, it's a 2 versus 2 battle. Shanks is missing, their Bloodhound is missing, and this 2 versus 2 battle will determine which one of these teams is able to hold onto this house. And these 2 houses are probably one of the most important places to hold, because that's where the next ring is. Moth decided to disengage. I'm not fully against this. I'm not at all against this. But now that Frenzy is back online, they will be able to scan their opponents, and this is such an important player to have online. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of light ammo, so I'm kind of worried about that.
I guess it's fine. Frenzy's still gonna be able to get into a proper position, but I'm amazed that 1 HP is still alive. Seox, what? I think he accidentally jumped on top of the jump pad. For Seox, man.
That was a little unfortunate, but hey, I think 1 HP should be good enough for now. Team Harsuk is the one who's actually literally stuck. They need to cross this bridge. There's a team directly above them, and they can see them via the glass windows. But then the defensive bombardment on top will make sure that Hardstuck has to take cover underneath this area. And all this thermite grenades being thrown at them, it's just really not helping. Team Aviator, on the other hand, they are managing to wipe the floor with Team Stark Incarnate at the bottom of this cliff. So that's a completely different fight. Isolated 2. The chances of those 2 teams at the bottom of the cliff getting third-partied is low because nobody would want to go downstairs at this point. Everybody wants the high ground, and everybody wants an area from where they can get inside the zone easily. So Team Hardstuck is safe for now, but they've got their sights set on Team Moth.
Not a good position, though. Hardstuck are literally out in the open. They have no forms of cover other than the Gibraltar Shield. So they need to use this very, very, very sparingly, because if one mistake happens right here as they're trying to make this push, it's already done and dusted. Because trying to rotate down inside of the circle while popping off is holding from the top end of a roof, Yeah, they're in the worst possible position, I would say.
Not the worst per se. I mean, they've got Team 1 HP on the right hand side house. They've got Moth in the left hand side house, and they've got Team Hardstuck on the bridge. And while all of this is happening, we have one team, I believe that's going to be Aviator Esports, at the bottom of the cliff, which means they're on the low ground right now, the absolute low ground. Everyone else in a decent-ish position of sorts.
And popping off at full res. They have full res, ladies and gentlemen. I think that we could just be crowning them as a easy. Oh, wait, never mind. The defensive bombardments are going to be coming on down through. Team popping off. They need to prop their own Gibraltar shield. And with this, with the zone coming on down through inside as well, it is going to be the side of team popping off still being in a pretty good position. But still, they need to wait for the convergence of the zone to completely push down the other squads. It's going to be team off going in for that first initial engagement. They're going to be able to spot out the players coming on down through on their back. And they're going to be possibly able to go in for the skills against the side of team 1 HP. But a punch straight to the face. The side of Chris is going to be taking down one. But team popping off, they just know they need to go in for this push. They're going to be going in for this fight. Brunch is trying to go in for a couple of pop shots to the evade. One from the back end, one from the front. Team popping off. They're in a pretty bad situation though. Another defensive bombardment down range and down in front of them. Another squad's going to be making that push. Heart's going to be the one to try third party. The fourth party coming on down through from the side of team popping off. The shots are going to be going in left. The Gibraltar's going to be able to take down one. The side of team popping off, they get taken down as well. Hearts of D4 with their push. They're going to be able to take down another squad. It's going to be a 1 versus 1 situation where it comes down to the squads and Hearts on D4. They bring it all back. They take out the side of team bot. And right at the very end, they're going to be the ones to get crowned as the champions. Hearthstone D4, ladies and gentlemen. They bring it all back right up till the very end because of the one small mistake being made by the side of team popping off. And oh my god. That fight just went from like a 30 to 100 in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. I'm glad you said 30 to 100 because that definitely wasn't zero. That definitely did not start at zero. It was not a rolling start per se, but all these four teams had like their win condition set out. 1 HP had a house for themselves. They were able to get the rest, and then they had Cribs on the high ground. Not the high ground. They had him near the passing area, you know, the gap between the two mountains. So he was a little bit of an off position away from his teammates. And then you had Team Moth in another house. You had popping off in a third house, and then Team Hardstuck on the bridge. Now, Moth and 1 HP start to fight each other first. Moth go in for the full send. 1 HP survive that fight by punching the last member of Team Moth to death. Popping off see this and they think of this as their opportunity to win. They move in to finish off Team 1 HP, which they're quite successful at doing. But then Team Hardstuck was very, very patient. And as soon as they saw that the players of Team Popping Off went in for the battle, and then they jump padded back to their own house, they realize that they have the advantage. Why? Because Popping Off have already used their Gibby Dome, and they can't use that as a little reset mechanism to get their shields back up.
Yep.
And Hardstuck strike them when the iron's hot.
Yeah, that is for sure. And the defensive bombardment being saved from the side of Suraj as well was so clutch. That defensive bombardment just absolutely demolished any chances that the side of Team Popping Off had of trying to survive it. They cannot run inside of the building. They can't run anywhere. They can't even use their Octane jump pad. And that's why I was saying some of these teams just get a little bit too greedy and a little bit too reckless to try and go in and try to end of the day inside. And that's exactly what happened here for the side of Team Popping Off. So let's head on down over onto the match highlights to try and break things down from start all the way up till the end to see exactly what happened one more time with a bird's eye view. Because now that we have a little bit more of a chance to collect ourselves and try and break everything down, we can say that right off the get-go, the side of Aviator Esports, they had a pretty decent start. And up till the very end, I believe that it just went wrong really quickly. Stark Incarnate as well. They had the best possible opportunities, but right at the very end, Rahman, my guy, just absolutely got disconnected. A couple of technical difficulties coming out down from his end just costed them pretty much everything.
Clutch Ministers and Wasabi thought that this was an isolated fight. Because, hey, who third parties near Geyser of all places? But they were wrong. Yeah, they forgot that this is Apex Legends. This is not even Apex Legends anymore. This is a third-party legend. And then right after that thing ended, Phoenix came in and they were like, haha, did you forget about us?
Yes, we also live here right next door. You know those nosy neighbors who just constantly come to your house from time to time just to be like, hey, I'm still here. Do you know that I'm here?
Yeah, can I borrow a cup of sugar, please? Except this time they don't borrow a cup of sugar. They just borrow your points permanently. They don't
Yeah,
give
but
them
they
back.
borrow your shields as well.
Yeah, that too.
They literally grave rob you just for the sake of it.
Oh man. If this was a tomb and not a grave, then you can actually set curses upon them. And this curse did came true. It came true to some extent because Phoenix did not have a good time later on in the game. Sure, they were able to get that one squad wipe. But after that, they were pretty much irrelevant. I'm actually surprised that all these teams over here, like 3 Punchers, 1 HP, Word EXE, Unit X, these guys were just racing against the zone and fighting each other at the same time. And that's like the most difficult thing to pull off in Apex. Especially when you're moving into Fragment, because there will already be teams over there. Plus, there are teams chasing you. Plus, there are teams gatekeeping you. So there's really nowhere left to go. You can't run away. You can't run towards. You can't do anything.
Yeah, when you consider the journey of 1 HP, though, you have to say that these guys, they were absolute dominant forces. Even though they were just losing out on a lot of their different engagements, they were still able to survive. They were still able to go in for the proper kills when they really did need to. But right up till the very end, I believe a couple of those aggressive pushes just costed them a lot down moving on down the line. And in that sense, they were just not able to survive for a really long form of time. And one by one, it was the side of Team Mod going in for that first initial engagement. They tried to take out the side of 1 HP. They were just not successful. And right at the very end, here is where the reckless play happened. Team popping off, they went in for that push, and they paid the ultimate price for it with their own lives, with allowing the side of Hearthstone D4 just push out of their own comfort zone and then just become a third party to the fourth party.
Exactly, and the fact that Popping Off had no Gibby Doom available against that defensive bombardment, Northern Breeze was able to get that Doom popped out at the very last moment, but by that time, everyone on his team was running low on shields, running low on HP, and then Hard Start, they did what they do best, wipe the floor and get that win.
Yeah, very beautifully done from the side of Hearthstone D4, the way that they were able to go in for their different engagements, the way that they were able to take these fights, an absolutely beautiful showing of skill coming on down from them. They understood that, hey, this is how you're going to need to stay here. This is how you're going to need to take this fight. So they played it properly. They were going to be the ones to take it all away. So let's head on down over to the standings, ladies and gentlemen, and see exactly how many points all of these teams have actually gotten and try and understand the ideology here, because starting from the very top up till the very end, it is going to be the side of Hearts and D4 being able to get 17 points, but 1 HP on a 14. I believe that they're going to be the ones inching closer and closer to make things a lot more stressful.
What's even more surprising is that everyone has like an even spread of kills. 5 kills each for the top 3 teams. 7 for Stark Incarnate. I mean, considering they were playing super aggressively right from the start of the game and did not even make it to the last circle, it's understandable. That's why they have such less placement points, but plenty of kills to show for it. So I think they might just be satisfied with whatever happened over here. But then everyone else having 6, 4, 6 kills respectively on Skyhook, Aviator Esports, and 3 punches. Aviator Esports, I'm actually surprised that they managed to get 4 kills because they were getting lasered by Elstar from long range. And when something like that happens, you're just going to be molting because Elstar is not a good gun at long range. And you're able to, I mean, someone is able to kill you with that. That's just really, really unfortunate. But then 3 punches, Phoenix, someone like Unit X, Word EXE, all these guys were just trapped in that massive race against the ring. Fine. I mean, Phoenix was not trapped in the fragment area, but they were kind of gate kept when they were trying to come in from the geyser area towards that choke point.
Yeah, that's just gonna hurt quite a lot, I would say, moving on down the line here. I didn't really expect this to happen whatsoever because Team Phoenix with 8 points right at the bottom of the barrel, not something that you kind of expected now, did you, Crips? Because they really were the ones to try and maybe win everything out here. They had the best possible third party fight, but going off against the side of Team Popping Off, they were just not able to survive it for even a second, and they got hurt for it badly. So let's head on down over towards the overall standings, ladies and gentlemen, and see how we ended off day number 2 and how the teams are going to be looking strongly. And Popping Off, hey, they pulled it off. They're going to be on that number 1 position, and they're going to be really happy about it. 114 points for the side of Team Popping Off. Clutch Ministers with 103. Phoenix with also with 103. Stark Incarnate with a 95. And 1 HP still holding down their position strongly on an 89. Hearts of D4 on a 76. Slowly but surely catching up Wash Apex Sports with a 61, X-Omen with 58, and Aviator Esports with 43. When you consider the number 9 and the number 5 position, they're kind of like, there's a massive gap in between of 26 points. So it's going to be quite a lot larger if the side of Team 1HP are able to hold down their position. So a lot of the other squads are going to be in a pretty bad pickle, I would say, to try and go up there. But considering the top 4, this is very much interchangeable. So I would say day number 2 ended up on a good note, because all of these teams, they're very close to one another and there is no designated winner. Like normally, remember in the qualifier scripts, like we designated a winner right on the end of day number 2 and there's no way anyone could touch them.
Yeah, exactly. This thing is gonna keep the tournament a lot more interesting, and it's gonna build up to suspense for tomorrow. And honestly, I love myself a little bit of suspense. I want that thrill to keep me on the edge of my seat right up until the end, to the extent where I don't even need a nail cutter. That's what I like. Now, popping off on the top of the table, they will be very happy to relinquish the last win to Hardstock, because at least they're not giving it away to, let's say, someone like 1HP, who have a much better chance of closing the gap with them. Now, with this win, Hardstock have overtaken Washed Apex Bots and X-Omen. And they're in the top 6 now. They're in the running for the throne. If not the throne, at least the top 3 placements. And the top 3 teams now have crossed the 100-point barrier. And they're starting to run away quite a lot. Stark and Khan had a pretty sweaty game this time around, where they were able to get more kills than anyone else, but it was still just 7 kills. It's not like a big double-digit number.
Yeah, when you consider all of the plays that are happening and how the side of team popping off are playing as well, dude, 57 and 57, these guys have reached a complete state of balance, just as Sano stated. Balance like everything should be. Team popping off, they're like, hey, we're gonna balance our kill points and replacement points at the same time, which I don't think I've seen throughout this entire tournament, starting from the qualifiers up till here. So, hey, kudos. If you guys are able to do something like this, an absolutely incredible tale to tell here. Ladies and gentlemen, team popping off, they end things off on a good note, being able to bring it on back at the bare minimum and take that number 1 spot back onto their side. And in general, I would say that the number 1 spot is not really a very safe spot, not just yet, because when you consider the other placement points and with the other overall points, everyone's really close. 103, 103, 95, 89. They were just at the brink of trying to break through it and take that number 1 position for themselves. So day number 5, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a hype one, that is for sure. And don't forget, day number 5 is literally tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also hit the bell to get notified when we do go live. And also follow our socials to get updated if anything does happen, if there are any couple of changes, or if there are a lot of spicy clips that we could be adding on up, and probably a couple of memes as well, right here and there to sprinkle on top. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be all that we have for you for today. But before you do sign on off, make sure to check all the links down below in the descriptions. Get yourself a Lenovo laptop powered by Intel processors, because these ones are going to be the ones that get you through a lot of those different games that you are playing, primarily Apex Legends for us, of course, because we need to perform to the best of our abilities. Because if players like these are on our servers, man, if you think about Proj, if you think about Doc, like these guys are going to absolutely destroy us if we don't have that proper gear to try and actually see them destroy us in the process as well. So moving on down the line, get yourself a couple of gear upgrades and see what suits your fancy for your next big upgrade. But for now, it's going to be your boy Aggressive John Victor signing on off, and we're going to be back with you real soon tomorrow with the Rise of Legions Apex Legends tournament presented by Lenovo and Intel.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.